everyone. How are you doing? And welcome to tonight's Skeptic and Ranting, blah, 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 blah. Good evidence for God? Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, coming up.
Where tonight we are asking the question, what would good evidence for God's existence be? So come join James W. and myself, Amy Newman, for some fun that transcends the universe. Womp, womp, womp. No.
In camera, unfortunately.
Totally makes sense. I want to thank you all out there for joining us on the intertubes.
Oh, yeah.
If you have recently been vaccinated or gotten your booster shot, now is to activate
You're on the way to hell?
The 5G chips. Well, yes, you're all on the way to hell, but generally you are now in remote controlled by George Soros. I believe that's how it works.
You have a much lower chance of getting COVID, but on the other side, you are going to burn for eternity, so it's a trade-off.
You're going to burn for eternity. Also, vaccines are always going to work the same way. It's killing a virus. It's evolution. Good old evolution. But woohoo! Thank you, interwebs. In fact, if you're feeling fancy, please don't forget to like, follow, or subscribe, and then hit that bell icon to all so that you can join our live streams. Hi, everyone.
Hey, guys.
We are a skeptic channel, including the two schmucks you see before you.
Ooh.
However, at the end of our opening statements, we will be opening up the floodgates, or rather, the open mic, so you can say what's on your mind, atheist or theist, liberal or conservative, come as you are. Just on my sheets again. I have
still
perfectly good flags. What's that?
You still allowing flirts?
Hey. Oh God, NASA. No, George Soros. But yes, we are allowing.
We're trying to take control of that 5G chip.
I've never had. Have we had TERFs? I guess that's a little bit too political. But people that disagree, we are always looking for people who, generally speaking, disagree with our own because we can't help ourselves. Though, if you do agree with us, we kind of heart you too. So come on.
Thank you.
Woohoo! But yes, this house cleaning, I think we're going to do a little house cleaning. I miss Sam Harris on the debate circuit. Is sponsored by our Patreon, which can be found at patreon.com/Amy Newman, including awesome Patreons like Triggers, the Abrahamic Religions, KO Champ, Pew. Also, pew. Foley included. Because who doesn't like making random sound effects, especially like a trash can, 2 coconuts. But also,
not me.
James is like, I can do without it.
Not me.
I love it. I love it, folks. I am here to do your Foley ASMR. There you go, ladies.
You can almost see her hair turning red.
But also, the lovely Oz from the Round Table and
Thank you, Oz. I'm just waiting for one day backstage Carrot Top's gonna rip the wig off and be like, "It was me this whole time."
Well, I swear, during certain, when the moon comes out, I have to block because the hair, it just starts. You can see it's already kind of coming out.
Yeah.
But yes, you should also
Your
go to
scales will start
Live
showing.
because
Oh yeah, go to Tarte.
I also have to do. I think it just looks more like a Joker when I do it, but a little sneak in of the tongue.
That's right.
So I can
When
get
Amy
my
did her
out.
her DNA test for lizards, she came back 28 part basilisk and 13 part iguana. So there you go.
Damn it. And I knew I was going to be a little bit iguana, but to be that much and to not control any of the space lasers is just disappointing.
The basilisk, the Jesus lizard, that's the one who walks across the water. So
I feel like I could finally fulfill my destiny of being a Morrowind character. It is finally happening. Elder Scrolls. Yeah, baby. Well, and I was going to, in fact, fulfill that destiny until I took an arrow to the knee. Anyway, are you looking for better conversation?
they're here. Let's face it. Come on.
Looking for a better community? Well, then
They're here.
better get your butt to Tart.live so that we can.
They're here to chat with Bubblegum in our side chat. That tells you the level of discourse.
Look, I love all of our theist brothers and sisters, no matter who they are, no matter what their beliefs are.
You have so much love for them.
So much love. A Care Bear amount of love, as long as that's not copyrighted, in which case I do the Wish version.
Care Bear, share.
Care Bear and share. But yes, thank you so much, Oz.
Almost coming up to the My Little Pony level. Almost.
My Little Pony rainbows. I need to have my poster little thing because I feel like I am that gay. How gay is my... There should be like a scale. At least 50% somewhere. But I don't know which way the 50% goes anymore.
We're going to need you to do a sobriety test, Amy.
Officer, I'm not as think as you drunk I am. Anyway, no, ladies and gentlemen, though I'd like to be. Maybe later. Do we have an after show for our Discord, maybe? Woo! Which link is in the description.
Hey, Black Female Atheist, how you doing?
What is up? Sending love.
You got Big Screen Bird. Hey, Bird.
And we are also sending love. What's up, Big Screen Bird? Excuse me, Vegetarian Bird. He has been converted. These are.
I don't know. He might be a Muslim now. You never know what that.
I'm trying to remember. Are we Muslims? Are we Christians? Didn't we recently watch a Christian video that also offered 100%? It gets a little. All of these 100% videos. I mean, so many money back guarantees on conversions.
Guaranteed to be a flat earther.
Guaranteed. Whew. We need to have them to debate me, bruh. The flirt, though, I think we had Iron on here once, though he let's
stick
just
around
say he hasn't. I'll save that. Listen, I love all of my theist brothers and sisters, no matter who they are. But do you know who I truly love? In fact, I love the hearts of Ian Davenport.
Thank you, Ian.
Boom, 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 boom. Even though the creationists think that this, looks like a watch.
We got Randolph out there. God equals square root of -1. Hey, Randolph. Hey, God.
But yes, we are sending love to Ian Davenport.
Thank you, Ian.
As we kind of send, it's the free guy. I'm trying to think of what the other analogy to one up all of a lot of good video games. You gotta use a good heart. But also, sending love to a grumpy old cuss who, as we listen to a lot of these creationist claims, as we listen to a lot of these theistic claims, well, they make us and a grumpy go bleep, 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 bleep. Exactly.
They sure as hell do.
YouTube. Gotta fight with the damn censors. Oh, but you're gonna let that through? Okay. Whoa, but thank you so much, Grumpy. Setting love.
Thank you, Grumpy.
Woo-hoo. And also, 3 princesses is 1. As we try to remember how much the Bible reminds us that they treat women like, what's the word? They want to treat them like livestock. Oh, that's what they treat them like. I was going to say human, but that's not quite what the Bible does.
And Amy had 400 concubines and 300 Sandra Bullocks.
You just have to understand the context, okay? I just heard it a field of lovely Sandra Bullocks, and I feel like if you're gonna get dresses and then guns that amazing, that just walk right down the center stage, you should be able to own them like the Bible says.
Better than Angelina Jolie from Mrs. Smith. Mrs. Smith, yeah. Sandra Bullock was better.
We all have our ups and downs, James. We all have our, the Rotten Tomatoes and then the greens. But yes, we are sending love to Diana Smith, who is just full of amazingness. And we are sending love to our resident archaeologist, who
he was out there.
Had many good episodes with Pat recently, including one of my personal favorites where he got 2 of his best archaeological buddies over. We took a look at a historical look of, is absence of evidence of absence? And the correct answer is a definite maybe.
Sometimes.
Sometimes, if evidence is absent, then it actually is absence of evidence. But sometimes when you're actually looking for something and you repeatedly can't find something and you're told that it was out here, and you start to build a repertoire, start to push that more in the mythological category.
That depends on the context of the evidence.
Context. Woo-woo!
What an appropriate question for today, huh? For today's...
And it is. I mean, a lot of what we deal with, and I think a lot of what I assume Pat deals with in his school and with his classmates, is that it's not that there is nothing truthful or factual or historical in the Bible. That would be too much of a tip your head fedora kind of statement. It's more that when you're trying to say that it is perfect and from a being that can predict the future,
knows everything,
has a little bit of a different standard. And so what it really becomes is just a imprint or a look into the people of the time and their interaction and beliefs with how they believed a deity to exist and the culture of the time.
He reflected their views and values and what they thought was good and proper. You just have to ask yourself, does it look more like what a all-knowing, omniscient being would write, or does it look more like what ancient man would write? And I'll leave that conclusion to anybody with a bit of common sense. Yeah.
But sending love, Pat. Woohoo!
Thank you, Pat.
Oh, the kitty is up. Oh, boom, boom, the true overlord, ladies and gentlemen. But James, cats and dogs, they can't be sentient individuals. How could they have thought?
They can't have thought. No, they don't have complex language like we do.
Never. And communicate with each other? I feel like those birds are just making random clicking sounds.
What are they thinking? Meows? I mean, come on.
Meow, meow, meow. And see? I'm not trying to communicate at all, but I want them anyway. I took us. But we are doing jazz hands and sending love. Also, to.
He needs like 6 hands over there.
Oh my.
Why didn't you just evolve
for
6
the
hands?
podcast, and then for, you know.
Why didn't you just evolve 6 hands?
I know.
How convenient would that have been?
Just, you know, intelligently design myself 6 hands. Damn you, God.
Why hasn't anybody evolved the ability to fly? I mean, come on. How cool would that be?
Honestly, why haven't we just been able to jump and somehow evolve those wings and get ourselves down to other continents? Would have been so much easier. And yet God doesn't answer those prayers. It also means that no 2 people have ever asked for that, because I think that's something the Bible.
And 2 or more believers ask for something in his name, it shall be granted.
James, picky.
Faith can move mountains.
Yes, unless you actually needed to move a mountain. And then it's kind of like,
Between an excavator and faith, I think the excavator works better.
When I meant move and when I meant mountains, what I meant was good luck. It's like a
metaphorical mountains.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Go
imaginary.
Get 'em.
It can move imaginary mountains.
Go local team. Which is why Dale Pastel and ourselves are asking for a little bit of empirical evidence. Which is kind of the theme of a lot of the
debate, huh?
The topics that we talk about. That's true. And I was figuring when to mention that this debate, this topic, newly inspired by the debate that I had with Gavin over on Praise I Am That I Am's channel. I thought it was a great debate. I thought it was fun. As far as I can tell, during the debate at least, everyone was very civil. I have notes that I would like to actually go over once we go into our lovely Skeptic and Ranting open conversation. But I thought it was fun. And, once again, I don't think I was presented with any evidence that would change my mind. I was presented with an argument that I very vehemently disagree with, would be, to put slightly, especially since it treads on my territory of mine, though I guess it's everyone's territory if you think about it. But yes, more coming soon.
I don't think so, Randolph. I think he kept them on this time.
Oh my. Ladies and gentlemen, we are pro leggings, pro pants, pro skirt, whatever you want to wear. Isn't that right? Yes, Gavin says so. The Inquisition.
Speedos.
Again, I don't want to get copyrighted, but I'm contractually obligated to finish this song. What? Anyway, thank you so much. Look, we just like to give those tiny little sound bites, ladies and gentlemen. They're like little appetizers that I assume the YouTube gods think is so pleasing. Isn't that right? That's right, YouTube gods. I assume. Or the FBI. The FBI doesn't care. Is that right, FBI? They're like, you're doing fine, ma'am. We're trying to control as much as we can so we can send you your George Soros check. Yeah, it all comes back. All comes back, ladies and gentlemen.
Chasing down Roger Stone. Get him.
I love conspiracy theories. People
Don't
like
you?
I can't help myself because I believe almost, well, I say almost, I believe none of them that I can think of. I believe no sort of conspiracy theory, no superstitious belief, and yet I feel a rush every time that someone says something that they disagree with me. Now, I will say, I'll give my giant asterisk. My big letdown, if this was the profile page, the turnoffs, is when you let me down. You got this big old claim that you say you have, and then you talk me into it, and you're a fantastic talker, and we take a look, and then there's no evidence. Yeah. It's a letdown. But, we get through it in life, ladies and gentlemen. We get through it.
Happens.
So we're sending love to everyone out there, no matter what you believe. Though Dale Pastel and myself are kind of asking for a little bit of empirical evidence.
It'd be nice.
It would be nice, wouldn't it? If wishes were fishes. But yes, also sending love to, speaking of, we would never call that a conspiracy theory. What? But James, doesn't this earth look a little round? I hate to...
From my perspective, yeah.
Exactly. But maybe that's just our fisheye lens. It's true. Just our eyes just shaped round. And so
if you think about it,
look round.
How many people really know who controls all the satellites? Only like 5 people would have to know, and they could fool us all. All the data just comes from a few satellites. That's it.
Well, so there's like I hate to go like full environmentalist here, but there's like a trash dump of satellites out there. What are they? What do they think they are? Are they just like hanging around for Christmas? Oh my lordy. I don't get what any of the emotional motivations, because I understand from the intellectual perspective trying to attack it, trying to understand time zones, trying to understand that water doesn't bend, it flows, and certain intellectual concepts. I just really want to get the gut feeling. Like, I just don't understand why all of the world's countries would hide it's round or that it's flat. It's the real thing. It's just it's that dome. I don't understand it. I'm open-minded. Where's Brainy?
Yeah.
I'm just not so open-minded that
good luck with that one.
Falls out. But good luck. Dave Garr as well is trying to say,
Thank you, Dave Garr.
Definitely.
I think remember we had one of our satellites broke up over Australia like 20 or 30 years ago and actually sent us a fine for littering. We never paid it.
That's funny. I mean, there's a lot of litter out there. There's basically a trash dumpster out there that no one cares about. I don't know who would pay for it to begin with. I guess be out of the
No, it was
people
like $100 fine.
stuff out
It
there.
was a
But I don't
nominal
know.
fine
No, exactly.
for
But I mean,
littering.
there is a literal.
Oh, they say it'll reach like a tipping point. Like once
Satellite
there's so
dumpster
many
out there, a
that
ring.
it could only be like it could really only take like one or two crazy events where like a bunch of our satellites could get knocked out by garbage satellites, and then we would really be in trouble.
So
Kind of like
all
a
of
doomsday
the
scenario.
flat earthers using 5G or whatever, they would suddenly get pissed, and then a conspiracy would form. But it's like, you had things good. You had things
When they jump down to 3G and their location turned off.
No. Eventually, be
We're gonna say no. George Soros. George Soros just turned off the 5G. He just flipped his switch and turned it off.
I just
the elites
always
still have 5G. The elites still have it, but
the conspiracy theorists always love pushing something that is both they're geniuses and they mess everything up. As in, like, they were the genius enough to be able to fake the moon landing, but they kind of fucked up, like the pixel here and the pixel here and the pixel here. It's like,
yeah.
okay.
I mean, it fooled 99% of the people, but not them. It didn't fool them.
That's because
the
JFK is actually in Bermuda.
The sheep will just eat up whatever NASA tells them, but the intellectual elite, they question everything.
That's true. We're also NASA shills here. So thank you, NASA. Mwah. Mwah. And also sending love to the lead hyena, because a lot of, not all, but a lot of creationists, especially leaning tint, seem to look down or what they call the dominion of other animals. But we look forward to the lead hyena of the pack, Scott Duke.
Scott Duke. Thank you, Scott.
Yeah.
A cackling hyena.
A cackling hyena. Exactly.
As named by Little PP, our friend.
Hey, I think hyenas are often awesome. They actually laugh, I think, in anger or when they're scared or an intense emotion. It's not an actual laugh, but to me it is adorable because I just love hyenas. Lion King did you wrong. But we love Scott Duke.
And what else about them do you love? What else do you love about hyenas? They are what?
Matriarchal? There you go. They are matriarchal and
contractually obligated to bring
that up. And they are just members of the carnivora line. They actually lean slightly closer to cats than they do dogs, though they are their own thing. But
cat dogs.
Cat dog.
Like a sloth bear.
Like a sloth bear. I love sloths, and I like sloth bears are cute too. Then again, I mean, most mammals are kind of adorable.
Yeah. Especially the kids, the cute, the babies. Yeah.
Exactly. And there's almost a biological reason that we find
little or
like kids,
puppies,
kittens cute, and why cats and dogs know that it is a baby. And that is because of biological reasons like big heads and big eyes. And
even humans, they recognize a baby.
Yeah, well, even humans. Well, exactly. Well, humans recognize a baby, but I've often seen um, after birth, there will be like a dog had like a lab uh, after like my nephew was born, and they kind of they know that there is something going on here, that it's like it's a small you, it's a small you. Huh. 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 And they are more gentle, and it's because there is a biological
Oh
basis
yeah.
for that. Speaking of biological, we have our fantastic skull here with Regis. Woo! Because
Thank
our
you,
Bible
Regos.
study gets a little thespian. It gets a little thou shalt learn where thou complaint department is. It's right behind me. Enjoy it.
Get in
I
line for the
will.
cafeteria.
Yeah.
Eat up. Eat up.
Eat up, eat up. Which is some real. I don't know. I don't know if it's some gangster, if it is some Saw. It's some. Because it'd be badass in a movie, but when you're looking for a god, it's not really cool when, he goes around killing your followers and
He
stuff.
kills his followers for being
Hungry
hungry.
followers.
Imagine if Jesus did that when he instead of the bread and fish, he as soon as everybody ate it, they all dropped dead, the whole crowd. Same God, right?
It's
Same
not
God,
quite
same
the
God.
loving turn your cheek type of
Like
dude.
you guys, like what? You guys are hungry? You expect us to feed you guys? I brought you guys here for a sermon. Now I got to feed you guys. Okay, I got something for you.
Nibble, nibble, then you're dead. It really is like a horror movie, but thanks, God.
Like Jonestown.
But we're sending
Don't
love
eat
to
the
Rita.
fish. Don't eat the fish.
Don't eat the fish.
Don't drink the
Made of
Kool-Aid.
people. That's a little different.
Yeah.
But sending love. And last, but certainly not least,
Oh, not in any way.
we are sending love to Rachel Holland.
Rachel.
Copyright. Copyright, copyright.
Thank you, Rachel.
But I still have to finish the jig because it's stuck in your
And the
head.
dance, yeah.
Okay.
And you do the twirl thing that they love. You got to give the fans what they love. There you go. Okay.
I'm tethered right now. I can't do a full twirl, but I can twirl here. Woo, 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 which is reminding us, of course, of that the Bible would never condone slavery, because that would be something that would stand the test of time. I feel like a God with
He
no
would
such
know.
thing. He would know.
He would have
Don't
seen
be
that a mile
silly.
away.
But yes, sending love to Rachel Holland and sending love to all of our Patreons. You, along with all of the people out there in chat, our mods and viewers like you, are who enable us to make this channel even possible. And with that, before we slide into our open mic, oh my. Good evidence for God, I don't think currently exists. Though we should break down some of those terms, because there is tons of anecdotal evidence out there. based on the reliability of first-hand accounts. I just don't consider those testimonies good evidence. Evidence that can be testable, repeatable, and verifiable by others. There are no shortage of people claiming they had an experience with a God, an event that many believers say changed their lives in some form or the other for the better. So we have no way of verifying these experiences. And finding out exactly what a deity is can be hard, since the term is so
What
nebulous.
it is.
What it is. Excuse me, what exactly is? Many deities, well, changing with the time period, along with each theist that we come across. Many deities having been all-powerful entities that meddled in the affairs of human lives, while others creating the universe and then apparently going MIA for cigarettes, never to return.
He went on a beer run.
Exactly. We're right back. And here now. Though miracle claims are tough to come by these days, most theists save the canon battle for theist versus theist. After all, it's hard to defend the notion of a man living inside a giant fish, or another man coming back from the dead 3 days after decomposure. Oh, yeah. Or a third guy flying over the moon, no oxygen needed, on a winged animal. Except for a moonlight and a kitty. Those are always needed.
You need to get like Darth Vader music queued up every time you open that door.
Dun, dun.
Yeah.
Sentient creatures having thoughts. He's trying to figure out the existential question between one door and the other door.
Moonlight finds your lack of faith disturbing.
Dun, 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 dun. It could be like a horror thing. But yes. Are you telling me a man living inside a giant fish, a man coming back 3 days after decomposure, or a third flying over the moon, no oxygen needed, on a winged animal? All of these would defy our natural order of physics. What theists would call a miracle. However, that well has dried up with technology available to capture the phenomena live. Instead, we get tales of cancer going into remission, or someone surviving a disaster. While amazing, one more. Actually, no. There we go. The real solution, ladies and gentlemen. Modern problems require modern
Leave it
solutions.
open.
Sometimes he just needs, I guess, a metaphorical push. Just went like that. He's like, okay, you convinced me. I guess I'll go into it.
What's that? Oh, copyright.
That's right. It's okay. No.
Cut off the
YouTube
algorithm. Or the algorithm
overlords.
catches us.
But once again, James, other animals don't have thoughts. They just sit there going, duh, buh, buh. Even though I think that's most humans, but nonetheless.
Well, that's Ken Hovind's like, oh, they always ask me, do you think there's intelligent life on other worlds? And he's like, I taught high school for 15 years. There's hardly intelligent life on this world.
Thanks, Dad. Well, then I guess
I went to churches and told the kids that science is bullshit and the Bible is true.
So that kind of goes against intelligent design. Is it non-intelligent design? That's just a joke. That's just a joke. Yeah, but jokes.
We started off intelligent, Amy, but because man sinned, now we've been getting worse and worse and worse because more sin has entered the world and we're rebelling against God. So that's why people are getting dumber and dumber and dumber.
That's right. They're de-evolving.
We're devolving, yes.
De-evolving. But yes, we are looking for what theists call a miracle, but that well is dried up. With technology becoming available to capture the phenomena live, instead we get tales of cancer going into remission or someone surviving a disaster. While amazing, these are rare, not miraculous. Thus, I find God claims seem to recede back to deism. The all-seeing, all-knowing, all-powerful butthole in the sky. Or at least that's what I imagine. The big head or brain or what have you that spoke everything into existence or thought it or, well, the logistics are never solid on what this dude does.
Has to be a dude, though.
Has to be a dude.
Gotta be a dude. 15-foot long dick.
15 foot. But does it have a male chromosome? Listen.
He doesn't have DNA. He's God.
He doesn't have DNA. But yes, a big brain, a big head, or what have you, that spoke everything to existence, or thought it, or logistics are never solid on what this, as James said, very, very specifically dude does, other than to be a plot device to create us. And that's where the cosmological and contingency arguments come in, and they're best.
They rear their head
into existence. Fist fruits. Very much fist fruits.
Like a turtle fist fruit head poking out. Avocado poking out.
An avocado. Oh my goddess.
Hey, Amy. Maybe we're all brains and cats.
I think so.
Maybe we're all part of a cat's dream.
I once
brains
heard
and cats.
the world can't be flat because if so, cats would have pushed everything off of it.
All cat owners know that 7 o'clock on the weekend morning when the cats start batting stuff off of things to wake your ass up.
Look, sometimes they just need to knock everything over. And also when they go from 0 to 60, sometimes they just need to go woo-doo-woo-doo, woo-doo-woo-doo. You're like, okay, it's cat rocket time. Get that exercise. And once again,
Continue.
though,
Yeah.
cats are not sentient. No other animals are sentient. That would be a silly notion that we have dominion over them. Though
Only
seemingly, I
humans have
swear,
language.
I think they have control over us. I like this. I'm enjoying the in, the out, the in, the out. I am getting through.
He's giving you a workout though, Amy. You're
I
really.
know. Lordy,
He
lordy,
doesn't
lordy,
think you did
lordy.
enough exercise today.
I know. And I am sending love to the interwebs. This is I don't know which one the interwebs loves more, a clean soundbite or a cat. So that is a very interesting, hard dilemma for the internet.
I think the
I am
cat wins.
sending love out there to the interwebs as we ask ourselves good evidence for God. And yeah, the logistics are never solid on what this dude does, other than be a plot device to create us. And that's where the cosmological and contingency arguments come in, that they're best so they can try to sneak in that God. It's like high fructose corn syrup that just gets snuck in right there, but just tastes so good. With solipsism normally being the only answer beyond theism. After all, with atheism, we would just be brains in vats or something. Sir, this is Wendy's. I'll end with good evidence, or what good evidence is, and my own syllogism I would like to push forward in counter to the philosophical nonsense. Premise 1. If a conscious, all-powerful God wanted a personal relationship with me, I would know about them. Premise 2. I don't know about them. Conclusion. There is therefore a conscious, all-powerful God who wanted a personal relationship with me does not exist. So, good evidence for a God. I'll tell you what I really want. Empirical evidence. If a deity, especially the kind that is all powerful, exists, then they should be able to come down and shake my hand with a soft, silky touch, like a pen or a water bottle through my hand. Because if they want a personal relationship, a shake weight competition is my first line of entry. Until then, it's back in the lab. Thank you. And woohoo!
So when are they putting shake weights in the Olympics?
I know they need to have a shake weight competition. That way they could truly understand a sport that speaks to me, James. But we are
The
asking.
gold, the silver, and the
That's
bronze
right.
goes to Amy Newman with her sports hat on.
Woo-hoo. We are looking for good evidence for God. I hope you're having a good time tonight. And what are your divinely good thoughts?
And that's really the whole purpose of what we're doing here is we're coming on and we're looking for theists, for believers to come and present us with decent, believable, reasonable, good evidence for God. And that's actually never seemed to get that. And I remember back when I was a theist, and that actually kind of came up to me like, damn, Why is it every single debate the theist is getting just trashed every single time? And why are they actually never able to present any reliable good evidence for God? Why are there no good arguments for God? And that goes back to what we talked about before: is absence of evidence, evidence of absence, or absence of evidence, evidence of absence. In this case, I think it is. Now, it's not evidence that no being nowhere in the hypothetical multiverse could there be something that somebody might define as a god, or that could meet somebody's definition of a god, because that's an unfalsifiable conundrum. That's just a vague idea that is impossible to falsify. But we can falsify beyond any reasonable or rational doubt the idea that there is a God who interacts with the world and once cares about us, created us, wants a relationship with us, does anything that affects our universe in any measurable way. And that's the thing, that when we look out, all we see is particles and matter obeying the laws of physics, and that's all we ever see. In fact, we've never seen anything do anything else ever. So it seems like when we look out there, everything's just on autopilot. Everything is just particles obeying the laws of physics. We've never seen anything else. We've never seen any type of super agency, some type of thing happen that cannot happen based on the laws of physics. And we all admit that, well, generally, yeah, we don't see that today. But we're told, oh, don't worry about it. A long time ago, thousands of years ago, it happened all the time. It happened literally all the time. God came down and he was talking to people, and a talking snake with legs came out of nowhere, screwed up God's plan, but he was really the devil in disguise. And God interacted with his people. He randomly picked the people out of nowhere to make them his people. You know, he but before that, he had to flood the world because the people he made were doing things that pissed him off. He didn't like it, so he had to flood the world and kill everybody. He mercifully chose to save one family out of the millions of people that he genocided in his infinite wisdom. And then after that, of course, the first thing everybody did once they got off that boat was to establish new religions, because those popped up right away. So great job on selecting the people that you did select to save. And, just a mere few generations later, they were building the Tower of Babel, which the Bible specifically says was a tower that was being constructed because mankind was united. They were in peace and working to build a tower to get to heaven. They wanted to go up and say hi. God didn't like that. He got really, really, really pissed off at that. So he came down and he confounded everybody's language so they couldn't communicate. So there'd be strife and disagreement, and nobody could work together anymore. And by the way, he's the good guy. He's all good. He's always good. He's beyond our perception of good, let's just say. And yeah, these are the kinds of stories that they tell us when they talk about their God, and they talk about their miracles, and they talk about their evidence of things that happened long ago in the past. Yet we don't get any of that today. We don't see anything today. And why? Now you have to ask yourself, why is that? As Amy pointed out, well, today things like that, you could ask for evidence of that. You could ask for documentation, even things happening centuries ago before there were, cameras and pictures and things like that. You could still have reliable sources. But during the time during which these supposed miracles take place, there's no real way to verify who's a good source, who's not. We just have writings, and we just have to take them on face value. And if that's the one test that God has, that, well, I'm just going to give you a bunch of bad evidence and I'm going to stake your eternity on that. You just have to arbitrarily choose to accept is really bad evidence because that's what I want you to do. Otherwise, I'm going to lovingly burn you in hell forever. I have to go with the rational choice, and that is to withhold belief until we're presented with sufficient evidence, evidence that warrants belief, some level of rational evidence where somebody can reasonably conclude that these stories are true. We just don't have that. We don't have anything that makes us think they're true, except for a lot of people really, 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 really want it to be true. And when you look into that, unfortunately, a lot of people really, 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 really want that to be true because they really, really, really don't like the idea of death. And death is a really, really uncomfortable thing for most people. It's kind of a bummer. It sucks. It really sucks. It's not something that's pleasant to think about or to imagine. And I think a lot of them, they realize how irrational their faith is. But to them, it's better than trying to wrap their heads around the idea that death is death. That when you die, when your family dies, they're gone. They're gone for good. That's it. They live only in your memories. And that's a cold, unpleasant truth that we all have to, well, that some of us choose to accept as reality because that's what everything indicates to us that it is. And you don't have to like it, but if you want to be rational, that's where you have to go. Unpleasant as it is. Thank you, Abe.
Woohoo! Thank you so very much, James. And all right, with that, we are going to move into the open mic portion of the of the show. We will implore you to send all of your comments in by tagging James W. That's right, comments. James W. and
tag Amy
myself
first. She
at Amy Newman, because it helps us see the comments. We will give everyone their own opening statement, and we implore people with diverse views, especially ones that differ from our own, to join us, and the link to join so will be sent into chat on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. Woo-hoo! The only thing we ask is to, once we are in open conversation, to please keep your mic muted when not speaking. Sent in love, Doorknob Head. And I'll be able to see comments in a second. I'm going to say hi to everybody from like a billion hours ago, but only a billion, not 2 billion. But yes, with that, we are going into our open mic.
Where do thoughts come
as
from?
I send the link into chat. And thoughts come from our brain.
And I was surprised to see that was the first thing Gavin went to. Well, you have thoughts in your mind.
Oh, that's right.
That aren't in the universe. So, I mean, non-physical things can exist. So therefore, maybe God exists.
And yeah, maybe I'll wait until we get people on. Because I really do. I see Randolph. I see Bird, vegetarian Bird.
Vegetarian Muslim Bird, maybe now.
Mm-hmm. I know. Maybe Muslim, maybe Christian. Saying hello to everybody in chat.
Even.
What is up?
Hey, we got Iron Chariot here in the house. What's up, Iron?
Woo-hoo. We got Iron.
Comrade
we got
Jerry.
Bubblegum Gum and Skywatcher.
The Freak.
We got Pat. What is up?
Oh, we got Pat.
And we got Leophilius. Okay, as we
we have Leophilius?
I'm just going to say my argument really quick, and then that way people could say their version of it. But Gavin, during the debate on good evidence for God, said that premise 1, the mind exists. Premise 2, The mind is not reducible to matter. Conclusion, all is a mind.
Oh, well, premise one fails, so there you go.
Yeah, already not a fan of it. But
Negative.
we'll go over more premises because I said we were going into the open mic, and that's what we are going to do, ladies and gentlemen. But I have a lot more to talk about on this subject as we switch into
Best
the
in
skeptic
show. Hey, Dale.
and ranting. What's up, best in show? Open mic. What is up, Randolph Richardson, the godfather of atheism? I hope you are doing well tonight. We are talking good evidence for God. And not only do I hope you are doing well, but what are your thoughts?
I thank you for hosting these wonderful shows. I remember you saying earlier in the stream that evidence of absence. You're asking, is evidence of absence of evidence?
We did a stream about that with Pat. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, you'd mentioned it earlier when I tuned in.
Yeah.
That's when you were talking, and I had commented in the chat that the magic 8-ball might respond, possibly. So I agree with you. Yeah, I think that's there's a big presumption being made very often with a lot of these different arguments. I missed the first premise that you had mentioned that you had with Gavin.
Sure, I was going to type it, but it's easier just to say it aloud again. And there's going to be two arguments. So another argument coming soon. But the argument we started with is that the mind exists. That is premise one.
Yeah, I can accept that.
Yeah, I agree. I think minds exist more than just
more of an observation than a premise.
Yes.
Go ahead.
And then mind is not reducible to matter.
Yeah, I have a problem with that. I can't accept that one.
No.
Yeah, I can't accept that premise because
no good.
There needs to be some way of demonstrating that to be.
They have to show that.
Yeah, and I'm not. If they can present some evidence, otherwise I can't accept it at this point.
Show the evidence of somebody with a non-functional brain having consciousness, and then come back.
I don't understand how all is mind just gets you to. He had like an asterisk in premise 2 of the mind not reducible to matter, and that was substance dualism is false. And I was like, I really stay away from that battle because I believe in the mind-body duel. I believe that the body actually wins. I believe the body is above the mind, and the mind is just one of the tools of the body. But that is neither here nor there. That was his asterisk in premise 2.
That's kind of strange because that sounds
with
like
my addition
a non sequitur almost. It's like who puts footnotes on their premises? I guess
well,
if you're
Gavin Herleman. He puts footnotes on his premises, but not pants on his derriere.
I've never seen that before. A footnote on a premise. That's but the footnote doesn't seem to really be directly related to the premise anyway.
It's a non sequitur.
I mean, I agree. I think it's just taking pot shots at substance dualism, which I don't even argue about. That whole mind-body argument, I think, is just silly because they're two different things. Trying to say there's a reason they're not the same word. The body's the body, the mind's the mind.
Hey, that's a great way to look at it. It's very simple, very straightforward. I like it.
And consciousness is an emergent property that comes from brains. It's a thing that develops, just like the circulatory system is an emergent property that comes from life. It's not something native to the universe. It's something that evolved from living creatures. Or you look out in the universe, you'll not see a heart beating, pumping blood through veins. It's something that evolved through matter, through this wonderful process where matter came alive and now evolves.
Yeah. That abiogenesis is, I call it the spark of life, and I think other people do too. And abiogenesis is, I guess, the more technical term for that.
Yes.
The scientific technical term, and it's I find it interesting that theists so often who are arguing against evolution will throw abiogenesis in there with evolution as if they're the same thing,
Right.
and that tells me right away that they don't really understand the difference between these two concepts, and they're putting it all together. It's because evolution is
Inflation, yeah.
the change.
Well, there's a reason for that,
They're
which
trying to
is
muddy the water. Yeah.
evolution is a fact. And so if you want to attack evolution, then you want to go for the edge of what we know for science, because then you
Which
could
is
kind of
hypothesis.
attach that quote unquote skepticism to something like abiogenesis, to something like evolution.
I do think that muddying the waters is definitely the intention with some, but I think many just don't know, and they just need more education on the topic. So I don't want to fault all of them for it.
The professionals are trying to muddy the waters, but
it does. That is the effect that it has, and and I think like another misconception I find comes up with evolution a lot is that it's always progressive. But that's not necessarily the case either. The change can be completely neutral, or it can have a negative impact.
It's an unguided process.
I'm going to interrupt you guys because we're going to keep on going down the line.
Yes, do that.
Especially since...
Thank you.
Oh, no. Sending so much love, Randolph. You don't have to go anywhere. We'll keep you in for the open conversation as we get everybody in. The godfather of atheism.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And all right, we got Bird, we got Leo, we got Jonathan, we got Pat, sending love to everybody. We're going right down the line.
That's quite a panel.
Quite a panel, but we got big screen vegetarian Bird, who has been converted and thus has recently gone back to vegetarianism as the true animals were.
That's right.
But we're sending you love.
Worshipping flex tape again.
That's
back to the Church of Flex Tape. Welcome back, Bird.
What are your thoughts? Good evidence for God.
So, hello everybody. It's good to be on. Finally had a decent week where I wasn't working 3,000 hours. Yeah, so I watched the debate with you and Gavin for like the first 10 minutes. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I couldn't with that guy. I just can't. His first premise is horrendous. And you can't get past that. I have no time for you. So I'm sure you did quite well because
She did, Bird. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
But yeah, so is there evidence for God? Nah, I haven't seen any, but doesn't mean it's not out there. I'm waiting for someone to prove it to me. That's all. I think that's what everybody's waiting for, to be honest. So,
that's what we're waiting for, Bird.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bird.
It. How's everybody else doing?
I'm doing all right. How about you?
Kick ass, man. Kick ass.
Kick ass. Hopefully, that's right, Leo. Get Atheist Junior in here.
But
Atheist
I agree.
Junior in the house,
just
by the way.
Waiting. Woohoo! I agree, though. We are just waiting for good evidence. Our minds are open. Just come on down. And all right, we're moving right down the list. Thank you so very much, Vegetarian Bird.
Hey, you said my volume is low, Randolph?
But it should be back to a decent level now.
Okay.
A decent vegetarian level.
Is that better? Is that better?
Testing.
Testes, 1, 2, 2 testes.
That's right. And all right, thank you so very much, Bird.
Amy about that backstage, but yes.
But that's right. We got Leo, John, Pat, and Atheist Junior. We're going right down the list. Leo, what is up? We are Skeptic and Ranting.
Hey, Leo.
On good evidence for God. We haven't found any yet, but who knows? This may be the time, though most likely, because I get the feeling for Team Non-Believer, that might be the next call. So, but Leo, I hope you're doing well tonight. And what are your thoughts?
Well, the topic, this particular topic is always interesting to me because people on both sides of it, theists and atheists, are likely to disagree with me to some extent. I would say that the question, is there good evidence for God, is somewhat ambiguous, simply in the sense that I don't know what the difference between evidence and good evidence is. I've never really understood evidence in terms of some sort of like normative statement, like good or bad. It seems that it differs from person to person. There isn't really a good definition of what is good evidence and what is bad evidence. I take evidence to be that which confers justification, warranting the acceptance of the truth of some proposition. Just generally speaking, at least. And I think that either you have that or you don't. There isn't any good or bad really to be had in terms of that. And so I think the question then is there reasonable justification that confers warrant for belief in some proposition? And the thing with justification, as I understand it, is that there's two different ways that you can have justification. You can have something that's sort of like an internal justification, which would be the personal reasons that one has for believing something, or personal experiences, things of that nature. You can think sort of I just have faith in Jesus. And then there's external justification, which would be, empirical data, conceptual, philosophical argumentation, things of that nature, deductive argumentation, what have you. And those would be something more along the lines of an external justification, that you're getting your justification from outside of that individual, that subject. And in terms of internal justification, yes, I certainly think that you can have internal justification for belief in God. In terms of external justification, I think that there have been very good attempts at developing external justificatory models or reasons for belief in the existence of God. I personally don't think that upon deep analysis, any of them actually get you that far. There are certainly concessions I'm willing to make along the way, but I would maintain that the arguments don't get you all the way there. So is there good evidence for God? Ultimately, at least for me, that depends on what you mean by good evidence. I would say, is there evidence for God? Yes. I just don't think that it's sufficient, at least in an external sense, to warrant belief that he exists.
Man, I'm so happy I don't have to follow that shit.
Thank you, Leo.
There you go.
Thanks.
No. Can I be honest with you guys? I actually waited to click the link until I heard Amy say that Bird was backstage, because he always says fucking putting me behind Leo.
Oh, Bird beat
So I was
you.
like,
Bird
I
beat
gotta
you. Thank
wait
thank
till he
goodness.
gets in there.
Now that's intelligent design. We appreciate it.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
All right. Thank you so very much, Leo Felius.
But Leo, remember look at the trees, Leo. Come on now.
Trees.
Look at the mountains.
That's right.
Look at the sewers. Look at the
Yeah.
And all right, we got 3 more people, and then I think AJ but we got people. So send them up. We're going right down the
Come on
list.
back, AJ. We'll get you on. We'll speed you up.
Atheist Junior, come on back to me.
But Jonathan.
Hello, can you hear me?
We hear you.
Yes.
Okay.
We can hear you. And then we're going to go into open conversation. But Jonathan, we are skeptic and ranting on good evidence for God. I get the feeling you have something you may want to say about this.
I think I can contribute to more diversity of the panel here.
Awesome.
I come from a perspective of, do you get your rights from God or man? Your human rights. I mean,
Is this Dr.
human
Kevin?
rights. Do you get your
Welcome
human
back.
rights from God or man?
I would say, if you're asking, I would actually say it's a false dichotomy.
Yeah.
So you don't have any human rights?
No, that's not what she said.
I think
Your
that
question-
it's
oh, sorry.
trying to set up that we get this thing, like we get human rights from God. But the government is just us. Like it's just a bunch of us, better for worse. All the good
Okay.
governments, all the bad governments. It's
Yeah.
just a bunch of human-made systems.
Show me one time God ever enforced a human right that he supposedly gave to anybody.
But if the question, okay, what
If
you
you,
gonna
if
say?
you drive from like a title, right? Like if you wanted to get authority, I think maybe the underlying issue would be the authority. So
Authority
maybe
of
the
what?
question is like how you assert your human rights. Would it be your authority? Your like the title that you
What does
give?
any of this have to do with good evidence for God?
Well, exactly. Well, yeah,
Exactly.
it gives you God is a superior title than any
Prove it.
man title.
Prove it.
But
Right.
can I
In the
ask
court
you,
of law.
Jonathan?
In the
Prove
court
it.
of law,
Well,
it is. In the court of law,
Well,
it
I
is.
made a title
There's proof
superior
that
to God,
exists.
uber God.
Refute
So
that.
therefore, it's above God.
What does
You know,
God
this
have to
is
do with the
Jonathan's
law?
opening statement. I'd like to just kind of hear what Jonathan has to say, if that's okay.
Yeah,
Well, his opening
before we
statement
jump
was
in.
a
All right, go
question.
ahead.
But so what we're gonna do is we'll answer Jonathan's question for like another minute or two, but then
Right.
but then I
Ask the
want
question.
you to be here for the open conversation, Jonathan. That way everyone could just ask questions.
Okay.
But what were you saying?
Yeah, that's just basically the gist of my question. In that, like if you look at past governments, they were corrupt and they violated people's rights
Some of
or
them.
decency. Yeah, I mean not all of them. It's the same. So, where would those people go to when they are in despair if they get their rights from, you could say, a social contract or anything like that? But what happens after that social contract is broken? Where do
Well-
people turn to? Where what entity do they turn to? Do they turn to another person? They could, or if they don't feel like they can turn to another person, if they feel like their whole government is corrupt, who do they turn to?
Well,
Superman.
say they turn to
No,
God.
but
Then what
There
happens?
you go. Ha!
Well, here's
I
my
win.
thing. James was being sarcastic.
That was
But
sarcasm. You don't win anything.
My point would be that there are no other people. Like when you are screaming out for help, there really is no one else out there but other people. And
Right.
my question back at you, and then I do have to let Pat and Atheist Junior on, and then we can just talk forever.
Yeah, we do.
Which is, what makes murder wrong? Is it a god, or is it
Because
It
Something
goes
else.
against
it's
one of the
normative.
commandments.
Oh, you were
Ten
asking him.
Commandments.
Sorry.
It goes against one of the commandments of the 10 Commandments. Like our whole
Which
legal
one?
system is based upon the Bible.
But can
Wait,
I
hold on.
ask? Well,
Thou
I
shalt
have
not
more
kill.
questions.
Oh no, Amy, it's your channel. You go. I'll shut up.
Well, it's just I feel like the logistics of that fall apart easy. I mean, that would
Yeah.
make you a
Right.
pacifist. You're saying no wars, basically. You're saying no self-defense, right? You're saying you shouldn't own
Eye
a
for
gun because
eye.
you can't really kill.
It depends upon the circumstances. So eye for eye.
Oh, well, you're very welcome to situational ethics, baby.
Wow,
We're right
no
on board.
shit.
Welcome to moral relativism.
The Bible
Yeah,
answers
close,
those
very
questions. Yes.
How about we go ahead and get Pat and AJ in here, and then just hop right into the open discussion? Because everybody
That's
sounds
true. And
everybody sounds
Yeah,
like they got their big boy
well,
pants on tonight.
Everyone's foaming at the mouth. I can hear it.
Yeah.
And there.
Thanks for the advice, Leo. We're heading that direction, but appreciate the input.
And it lets you, it'll let you ask any questions you want to ask, Jonathan. But thank you for joining us.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you.
And all right, we're moving right down the line. We got
That's right,
Pat
Titan.
and AJ
We
left.
just confirmed it.
There he is.
What is
Hey,
up,
everybody.
Pat?
That old sexy beast.
We
What's up,
are
man?
having.
Oh, look at that guy.
Dun, 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 dun. What are we talking about? And we are skeptic and ranting tonight on good evidence for God, a topic I think is hot in the debate community, and especially on the topic of what even is good evidence. I hope you're well, Pat, and what are your thoughts?
Well, first, thanks for having me on. Hi, everybody, both on the chat and in the stream. So evidence for God. I can tell you, I look for evidence for God all the time, and I find evidence of belief in gods and God all the time. The material wealth, as far as culturally, material culture, of ritual worship and divine attestation is it, particularly in the period I study from, just post Bronze Age forward till the 4th century CE. We have a lot of material. We can tell where people worship, what they worshipped, how they were worshiping, the things that are important in their ritual processes. I do think it's interesting to note that despite all that evidence of belief, we have no manifestation of the divine. I can't find it. And I try every time I go in the field, I try to find something that helps me explain more and give a better answer to what people believed, why they believed it, and how they interacted with the divine of their time. But ultimately, I find no connection between the actual ritual to the deity. It seems that every time, all these ancient religions manifested some belief in the divine, but when it's actually time to see whether or not the divine exists, they're unable to do so.
No connection to reality.
I would agree.
Belief. Yeah.
Yep. It would be nice to have some evidence in the physical, natural world, but that seems to be repellent. And all right, thank you so very much, Pat. And all right, we actually got someone sneaking in at the last after at Clockwork Rex, but we're getting AJ in here because we are skeptic and ranting on good evidence for God. Thank you so very much, Pat. But
AJ got the call out.
I hope you're doing well, and we are asking ourselves about evidence for a deity, sometimes an almighty, powerful creator of the universe. Sometimes, I guess it's just the deities that, seem to have sex with other deities. But I hope you're having a good time. And what are your thoughts on good evidence for
AJ?
Can you hear me okay, guys?
Hey, AJ.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm doing great. So anytime I'm on Amy Newman's show, it's a good time. So okay. I'm gonna cite something called the argument from parsimony. So basically, in science, parsimony just states that among competing hypotheses, the one with the fewest assumptions should be selected. So it means that the simplest explanation is most likely the correct one. So when it comes to the question, like, is there good evidence for God? If we want to tackle this question scientifically, we can apply Occam's razor and ask, what's the simplest explanation? What's the most parsimonious explanations? Because since natural theories adequately explain the development of religion and belief in gods, the actual existence of such supernatural beings like a deity are superfluous, and therefore they can be dismissed unless they're otherwise proven to be required to explain the phenomenon of the creation of religion. So I would actually contend that there's not only not good evidence for God, I don't think there's like evidence point blank. Like I know that atheists like to repeat Hitchens' razor, which is like extraordinary claims need extraordinary evidence. But how about just like some basic evidence for like Christianity? I mean, these theists can't even prove the historical claims of their book. They can't agree on the dates or the details. So I'm done. I'll let you go to the next person.
Hi, Jay.
Thank you so very much, AJ. They don't want to really prove their theistic claims. They want to prove the kind of nebulous deistic contingency cosmological arguments.
Anecdotal.
Yeah, but that's better than talking about the Bible, I think.
100%.
That's probably true.
You don't want to try to prove the guy coming back from the dead. That is an uphill battle, I guess, literally.
To me, it's okay.
But Amy
proves that there is a deist God. So what? What is that? Means nothing else.
I don't think you
Yeah.
can prove that because
But
the Deus
Amy,
God is supposed to
No,
not interact
I
with
The
the
Bible
agree.
proves the Bible.
You still
Yeah.
have all of your work ahead of you. But it is a pet peeve more and more, this whole mind god. But you're right. Who knows then if the mind god cares what we put up our butt and all these, cares about afterlife and all this other stuff that come with the quote unquote classical theist model, which I think is such a PR term. But yes, send in
Bible
love,
proves the Bible.
AJ. We got one more person, and we are going into the open discussion. Clockwork Rex, I hope you are doing good. Thank you so much, AJ. And Clockwork, we
Thanks,
are
AJ.
skeptic and ranting on good evidence for God. I hope you are doing well tonight. And before we go into that open conversation, what are your opening thoughts?
Well, the whole the mind is not a physical thing. Where were you before you were born? See,
Yeah.
where were you before you were born? Did your mind exist before you were born?
No.
And where will your mind go after you die?
Are you talking about a Big Bang or? Sorry, no.
No, I'm just talking. I'm just asking. Where were you before you were born? Can you remember? If the mind is eternal, where were you before you were born?
Who said the mind's eternal?
I can answer those questions, which is that our mind wasn't. I mean, our mind was two different separate things, the sperm and the egg. And then before that, it wasn't there. So it did
It
not
wasn't there.
exist.
Exactly.
Exactly what? We what?
I don't know, but I like it.
What's your point?
Is this the open discussion now?
And all right, ladies and gentlemen, with that, we are going into the open discussion. Thank you so very much, Clockwork Rex.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Yikes.
And welcome. Listen, I love everyone.
I know
and
you
welcome.
Woohoo!
Welcome to tonight's discussion of Skeptic and Ranting, good evidence for God. Discovering Pat says, I would love to come into the show. Oh, you're getting called out by Pat to come into the stream.
He won't.
And me and materialist Dan.
I've only seen him come in here one time. That was it. And it was kind of not fun to have him on, to be honest. So
you got everybody. What is up? We're saying love to everybody in chat.
Oh yeah, hey everybody in chat.
Hi everybody. But yes, we I don't want to throw too hard on anyone, but anyone who would like to ask questions from theistic, atheistic.
Yep. I'm curious. Why do you think that rights and freedoms come from a male deity?
Did I say they came from a male deity?
Maybe I misunderstood. You're saying they come from God, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah, like
not a goddess, obviously.
The God is it's an entity that is more than human and it transcends sex.
Prove it.
I'm not. It's
more human than human.
It's not like okay, here we go. We're gonna use another pronoun or anything like that.
No. But then so you're talking about a deity. You're not talking about a male or female deity. You're just talking about deity. But so why do you think that our rights and freedoms come from a deity?
Because it gives you superior title in how to deal with any human corruption.
What does that mean?
Like the title to my car?
The title to my house? No.
Well, those are contracts, right?
The
those
title of my book.
Contract, and our legal system's based upon the Bible.
No,
so
it's not.
No,
it is.
It is
very, very far from being based on the Bible.
I'm in Canada. It's not based on the Bible here.
I'm in the
No.
United
What
States.
is it?
It's not
I
based
don't
on
even
the
know. I
Bible
feel
here.
like I'm in the twilight zone here. Like
You
what?
are.
Like what? Like
You
the
are
Canadian
in
Well,
the
if you live in Canada, you're still under the rule of the Queen.
contract law. Trust.
No,
You have to
we
trust
we
in your
separated from that a
man.
while ago.
You trust he has a moral value. I just feel like I'm like talking to like aliens here. Like what's going on?
This isn't an argument or a response. Did you?
Yeah,
You have?
like
you have
we're
either?
willing to
you
have
guys
like a
just-
discussion,
so
but you're just
vague
wrong
and
about
so,
that.
like irresponsible. Like I don't.
So
even know.
wait,
Like,
what do you
So
mean
this
when
is-
when you say that our laws are based off of the Bible? What do you mean by that?
like it's based off of, you could say God's word, but it's based off of the, thou shalt not steal. Like
Oh,
the
Jesus
3 degrees
Christ,
of
that
murder.
So
existed
you
long
don't-
3 degrees of
before
murder
the Bible.
come from the
you
Bible.
don't think those kinds
so-
of ideas existed prior to the Bible?
I'm not saying they don't. I'm just saying our current legal system is like going to get a
But,
lot of
but
ideas
wait,
from the Bible.
if there were
And
laws,
it's not a wrong statement.
I
You
shouldn't
claim
really
it's a
use
wrong
laws,
statement,
but
claim
if
it's
the
wrong.
if the idea
You read the Bible?
that stealing is wrong and yes,
Yes,
I
Chris.
have
Okay,
cover to
now
cover.
now you're just being
Um,
disingenuous. Now
So
you're just being disingenuous. You're just
I
making
don't.
broad
I'm
claims
excuse
that-
me. Excuse me.
Oh
Excuse
my
me.
God.
Excuse me.
on the Bible.
Excuse me. Excuse me. You didn't even
Can
let
you
me
back up your
finish.
claim?
Excuse me. Can I finish the
No,
point that I
you're
was making?
claiming some shit, not us.
No.
Yes.
Explain how to get 3 degrees of murder. First degree, second degree, third degree comes from the Bible.
What? No. Oh
No,
my
No,
God.
none of the Ten
that's-
Commandments are in the
No.
You guys
Constitution.
are just lying. You
Not
guys are
one.
just lying now.
You're not. See, you're not
lying.
providing a response. You're being challenged on what you're saying, and then just resorting to, "Oh, you
What?
guys are lying." This
You
is.
are lying. You're full of
I feel like I'm having a discussion with a 12-year-old on an Xbox Live back in 2009 again.
Yeah.
Well,
playing Halo.
explain to me
Should
how I'm
unruly
wrong.
children
You just made
wait?
you just
Wait,
made
should
you just made a
unruly
vague
children be
statement.
taken to the edge of
And I'm
town
asking
and
you-
stoned to death?
I'm asking you, no, I'm asking you to elaborate on it. Like you just made an irresponsible
Elaborate on
vague
what?
statement, just
What?
to brushing, just
What
to
did I say?
dismiss what I said.
What was the vague statement that I
What-
said?
I can elaborate. So
What-
if you're
how-
saying that the basically the Ten Commandments would be part of our Constitution, the first one is that you don't have any other gods before me. But
Yeah.
the first line of the Constitution is that we're all men are
Separation.
created equal endowed by their Creator. So their Creator means
Uh-huh.
whatever religion these people who came from different places who came to America, they're all equal despite what their religion is. So it's based on a secular thing of people who have different religions are equal, not you can only be Christian.
So that's more of a, I guess you could say it was like a Protestant.
I mean,
Oh,
some
so
of the
we're
first
not
people in America were
like
Protestants,
the-
but the
there was a
Constitution
Catholic-
itself isn't based
the
on
Catholic,
Protestant values.
But I just don't know like where people are coming from. It just seems like it's just like off a left field.
So-
And it just doesn't
I would
seem
like to-
I want to. Yeah,
Any-
Well, that's fine.
It was
Amy,
just
go
like,
first.
oh,
Well,
just
that's
like
a
a
new
broad
problem.
statement, and now it's just like, and then this.
And
guy
I have a
kinda
question,
proves
but
my
Amy can
point.
go
So
first.
I don't know what points there are, and so maybe it would help if you would be more specific instead of making broad
Well,
general statements.
No, you be
Who's
more
making
specific.
broad general statements?
You're
So
making broad
here's
general
something
statements.
more
Who-
specific.
I
when-
want to address this after Amy talks.
Well, and I
This guy's a
think
troll.
Randolph wanted
Oh,
to.
I'm just getting started.
Okay, I've just got
Clearly.
one point. Like
Clearly.
Black Female Atheist put a very, very good comment in the chat. She's asking, "Where's the thou shalt not rape in the Bible?" Because that is illegal in Canada, and it's illegal in the U.S., and it's illegal in most modern civilized nations. This is not from the Bible, because in the Bible there are situations where rape is condoned and even promoted. So I'm curious how this law you would consider to be based on the Bible.
It recognizes the supremacy of God, doesn't it?
Oh,
What does that mean? What does that
No.
mean?
In
No, it does.
the
Nobody,
Canadian
as
Constitution.
far as I know, nobody's been
You want me to
charged with
screen
raping a
share
deer.
and show you the Canadian Constitution, what it says above it?
Nobody
recognize the
cares.
supremacy of
You
God
said
and
something
the
about the
laws.
supremacy of
Oh,
God. What does that mean?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a
yeah,
But
yeah.
help
that's
get
not
me
another
your
point.
answer. Yeah, exactly. How did just my question would be help get me to the supremacy of God, therefore rape is bad from the Bible.
And I can address the Constitution thing in Canada in a moment. Okay, I'll
This
address
is
it now.
ridiculous.
Um,
This is ridiculous.
The Constitution. Yeah. Go ahead.
The
Go ahead, Randolph.
God preamble in our Charter of Rights and Freedoms is just that. It's a preamble. It's an opinion. It is not specific on which deity, other than it being a male deity, and it is not a numbered point, so it's not really relevant. It's not used in making any judgments. So it's just there. A lot of people think that it was put there as a way to get more people with power, politicians, to vote in favor of putting it into effect in 1982.
I mean, we can argue that we don't really have constitutional rights. Those, if you read the law,
What?
it's basically for the
Oh
government.
Lord,
It's not
that
for
was
human
the
beings.
But I do-
hardest
it's not for
crawfish
beings.
I've seen in a while.
Wow.
Wow.
We're gonna get.
I
No,
do
we're
want to
not.
know.
I mean,
how-
whatever.
I don't know that we are. I
Law
don't know
or
that we are going to go down that
Amy's
all
got
the way
the
down that
Like,
rabbit hole.
like you guys don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
I have
I don't
become
know
a
that we
sovereign
are.
citizen, and I'm no longer going to pay my taxes.
Amy does have a lot of
I see-
points from her
Why-
debate that she wanted to
Why
get
is
into.
it that every time
I would love
answer,
to
it's
as
just
well.
Like, oh, like it's just like
You're not providing answers. Like, I'm
It's
sorry,
just like,
Jonathan,
yeah,
you're not.
Jonathan.
Somebody,
I'm-
you'll
I'm-
ask
I'm
a
providing
question,
a
and
different
somebody will
perspective on
provide
And
a
then he'll
response to
die.
what you
Yet you
said,
just
and then what you will do
talk
is
over
just
me.
dismiss whatever
Okay.
that person said as, oh, you don't understand this and this, that, and the other, without actually diving into the substance of what the person just said when they responded to you. And then you'll sit there and go off for 35, 40, 50 seconds at a time while people are trying to respond to the fact that you didn't respond to their response to you.
Okay, Jonathan.
Thank you for that
I do
summation.
want to know how the laws against rape are from the Bible. I'd like to know
And then-
how
Let's get that
progressed.
question answered first.
After
It's
he
just like
responds,
it's
we're going to
false
get to
equivalency
freaking.
It's just like it was
Yes.
inspired by the Bible. Obviously, there's statutes and acts that are added on and added on and
It's
added
just
on.
more claims.
And that's no. This is no.
Is
it Yeah, in the
This guy
Bible?
doesn't know
Is-
anything. This guy doesn't know
in the
anything.
Bible.
This
That's
guy
not
is
that,
over
that's
here.
not an
No,
argument.
dude.
That's
No, dude. You don't know anything.
This
You
is
don't
a
know
lot-
anything about law.
dude, you didn't know
Stay in your
anything,
lane.
dude.
Stay
Stay in your lane.
Let him
This is
let him
what-
go, Leo. Come
This is
on.
what I'm
Dude,
talking about,
dude,
right?
where is
This
my
what I'm
car?
talking about right
Let-
now. He keeps interrupting me. I'm in the middle of a point, and then he pretends that he's
You're not
rebutting me.
making a
He's
point.
rebutting me about the law. And,
He's not,
and
Leo, but let
doesn't know
let
what
him
he's
make it.
talking about. Like this is. I can't have a conversation. He keeps rebutting me. Like seriously.
Oh wow! So
AJ found his car keys, but he can't find his car. Sorry.
AJ, did you leave your cat keys in your cat keys?
Possibly. I think this guy's
AJ
a troll, but I think this could actually be a learning
I just
opportunity
don't
anyway.
know. Like what,
AJ got stuck trying to order
Explain to me,
Chinese food, and the lady kept saying,
you know,
and
the
then,
stop sign rules.
and then,
Explain to
then.
me,
and then
Okay, I am interested in the
explain
answer.
to me the
but I-
bylaws. Are they directly from the Bible? Like
Bible?
you
What
know,
are you
it's just like
talking
a false
about?
equivalent.
Is it illegal to commit adultery in the United States?
no.
Or
No.
and it's not illegal in Canada. I can tell you that.
Then it's not based on the Bible.
I think it was at one point.
it was.
No.
It was.
It is illegal under
And
Sharia
then,
there,
and
Jonathan.
then we
but
progressed. And
we don't-
We're just so
Well,
great.
God's laws don't change.
Our Charter of
so-
Rights
Into
Our Charter of Rights
degeneracy.
and Freedoms guarantees
Wonderful.
freedom of expression, which
Interruption.
means that
And this-
women
and
do not have to
yeah.
ask men for
Jonathan.
permission before speaking.
And so I want one answer, or I'd like to ask one more question, and then we're going to get to freaking here. But it's just on
Yeah.
topic about good evidence for God. Jonathan, what is the reason that you believe
Oh no.
in a God?
Great
Oh, no.
question. Great question.
I'm sorry.
So,
that's
If-
not a good
if you-
question at
if-
all.
Here we go.
This is for the public. This isn't for any of these doofuses on here. I'm sorry. Any of these non-believers on here.
Yeah, fuck you. Fuck you too.
I didn't mean to be defamatory. I'm trying to watch my
It's okay. We call it spicy.
Bullshit.
curse
Guys, we're
or curse my enemy.
Hold on. I want to hear this
have,
for real. Hold on.
Yeah.
I'm just.
Go ahead,
I'm
Jonathan.
just, okay.
Or Kevin.
So, oh yeah, the train of thought. Okay, so basically, my belief in that God is a superior title
Great.
to exercise your human rights
Okay.
in the court of law,
Okay.
no matter what statutes or acts are imposed upon you.
Okay.
You are still a sovereign human being.
Got it.
And
Negative.
you will not be, if you exercise them right and you're disciplined. You know, you don't watch porn. You read.
Hold
you
on. You
fast.
can't watch porn?
Wait a minute.
What?
Yes, abstain from porn. Seriously.
Let him finish. Let
Abstain.
this fucking
Because there's
idiot
actually,
finish.
you know,
Whoa.
hang on. Maybe I'll throw you a
your
bone.
turn.
I'll throw you a bone here, okay? I'll throw you a bone. There's actually been scientific evidence that when you watch porn, it actually rewires your brain.
Okay, stop.
And
No. We don't need that bone. Go ahead.
Yeah, it does.
No,
It does. It
no.
actually rewires your
But-
brain. And
Why
I'm
do
glad
you
he
believe in
stopped the
God?
one syllable with
But
bone.
can I freeze everyone for a second? Because it sounded like you were veering back into the law thing, like why God makes a good foundation for law. But my question is, why do you wake up in the morning and think that the creator of the universe has a personal relationship with you, if I assume correctly?
I think I think once you endow yourself with the creator, and that we all have different roles in our life and different skills that the creator has endowed with us, and it plays out in different times, and so, you know, I mean, we'll do things like the thing is like we don't know everything, even though we might think we do.
Sure.
And, you know, I might think that I know I might come across that I know everything about
No,
what
we
I'm
don't think
talking
that.
about.
We don't think that.
But I'm really humble.
Thank you, Bird.
And I believe that, you know, we all have a role to play, and God is kind of mixing, and he's just kind of moving the chess pieces together, and you know, and doing his will, even though if we don't really understand it, like from our point of view, like we don't have a 30,000 foot view, but from God it's like a different view, and he has a different perspective on you. Because always hear Christians say, you know, God knows you more than you know yourself, right? Because he created you. Or sorry,
if
God created you. Sorry. God created you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to invoke gender there. I'm sorry. I didn't. But
are you a Christian?
Jonathan? No, he's a Muslim. But if I could ask real quick, Jonathan, of what utility are the rights that God gives us? Because
I think Amy
you have to
something.
You have to use man to enforce the rights that God gives you. So what good are just baselessly asserting that they come from God when you actually have to use man to validate the rights?
I tried, Amy.
Well, that's the argument he's making, Leo. So
well, you're
and I've been waiting a while to make that point.
You're right to some extent, but it's when man becomes corrupted that there is a remedy in your rights that come from God, and how to properly enact them and gain a remedy even outside. Even if the courts are corrupt, you can also gain a remedy as well outside of the courts as well too. And I'm not
in the other world.
No, I know there is, and I'm not going to go into it, but there is.
Thank you.
And there is.
Okay. How does God overturn Supreme Court decisions?
Yikes!
if you know what to do, if you've been wrong by anybody, there are actually remedies out there, and you guys can go on my channel and I can go through them. I'm not going to go into it right now.
Stuff?
I don't want to. It's powerful stuff. It's powerful stuff.
How does God overturn the Supreme Court? Just go to my channel, bro.
If the Supreme Court judge violates your constitutional rights, or even violates any of your rights in the Magna Carta, which in Canada, because it's a constitutional monarchy still, and then so if they violate any of those rights, you're a Supreme Court judge, you still have remedy. If you believe it or not, there's actually remedy in this life.
No, I don't believe it.
As above, so below.
What does this have to do with anything?
There is.
Can we get
I actually do.
It's amazing. It's amazing what information's out there.
It's amazing. Amy, let's continue.
It's amazing.
Did
And
we want to
yeah,
get
the love of God.
we'll go back. I do have another question, but I'll ask that later on once we're back in. We're not going to go into. We're just going to bring them in.
Oh,
Because we're having fun. But
There he
DeFreak,
is.
I hope you are having a good night as we are skeptic and ranting on good evidence for God. I hope you are doing well. And what are your thoughts?
I'll run through a few real quick. One, law of thermodynamics. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. So that means at some point when you die, there's a part of you that is not destroyed that continues on. And why is it such a hard stretch for us to think that the mind and the soul isn't part of that? Two,
Not Chopra.
a biogenesis. You've heard it all before. I don't know how you've dismissed it. I don't know how you don't consider that, but you do. Three, along the lines of abiogenesis. Well, I got to pull it up here, but
You believe in abiogenesis?
No,
well,
I don't.
abiogenesis to me is a science experiment. You know, you have a curved beaker or whatever in the lab, and if it's curved enough, you don't get the dust particles that land into the water that start
That's
the
biogenesis.
process of.
Fucking
Okay.
hey. Look, I'm
Yeah,
So
you gotta
basically,
Oh, you let him
you know,
finish.
life isn't the spark of life is divine. It doesn't just happen from something that doesn't contain that's not able to produce that.
How can we know it's
Definitely
divine?
doesn't.
Because there's no other way to explain it.
Oh, so
Yeah.
Well, so
Argument.
wait, hold on. So it's just an
You
argument
know,
from
atheists
ignorance.
do that same kind of argument. So I
Well,
have,
no,
I mean, I have to admit
but then that's
one of
just
the
a two
arguments I have.
quay
That's-
fallacy.
Basically, we can't
So
prove
you just
that, so
committed
that
two
is my
fallacies
proof.
right there. You committed
Yeah,
an
but atheists
argument.
do it
You
too.
committed an
All right,
argument.
let him.
Yeah,
Let him
that's what I'm
respond.
saying. You committed an argument from ignorance for saying, well, there's no other way to explain it, so it must be God. And then you said, well, but you see, atheists make the same argument, which is just a two quay
No.
fallacy. You just committed two fallacies.
So it's a wash.
Well,
It's a wash,
let him
but at
commit
least,
another
you know,
one.
I'm presenting you something. You're begging for something. I'm offering something.
I haven't
Hottest
really
sentence
heard
I've
anything.
heard tonight.
I would structure the argument in that try to be as clear as possible for the audience, because obviously you're not going to convince dogmatic materialists of your.
Yeah, and because you've
your
definitely done that so far.
I'm not a materialist.
yeah.
Well, I
I've
mean,
done
I'm
it
just
through
winging this
why,
on the
and
fly.
you still and you
You know,
guys
I'm not
don't know
prepared in
why.
any way or manner or whatsoever. I'm just trying to, you know,
Different-
amongst familiars, just
Yeah, but-
provide something.
It's all you,
At
man.
all.
Go for it. It's all you. Go for it.
So, you know,
So the first thing you said
Hold
was
on.
something about the energy of the
all right. Someone
mind.
mentioned how the brain and the mind are tied as one, and that is true in the physical realm here. You know, but
I thought they were one.
the mind, right? Someone also mentioned that the digestion is based on the GI tract. Well, here's
It is.
a
Yeah.
scripture that I
Wait,
haven't
what is
presented
technology
before, but
that we're
it's
getting
kind
to?
of crude.
Scripture in the GI
But-
tract. Go for it.
Real quick, he said that there's not an explanation
Along the
for
line
like the
of,
origin of
have you
life.
seen
I
this,
just wanted to
the
say
seed
real
which you
quick
sow?
that,
Who is the grower, you or us?
there is.
Basically, you can't answer that. So that's proof.
Well, I'm a
because
grower,
he said
not a
that
shower.
way before science was created.
Let's
Well, I'm a
listen.
grower.
What did you say, Atheist
I like
Junior? Guys,
I'll be quick. So he was just saying that there's not an explanation for the origin of life that's not divine. Well, I think there is. It's simply the process.
You see
of
that?
changing
Would you
from-
admit?
Okay, I'm almost.
let
done.
him finish.
It's just going from
That's
geochemistry to
sludge.
biochemistry.
That's
That's it.
That's
But
creeping
let
out
him
of the
finish.
back of
Then you
your
can call it sludge.
backside.
I'm done.
I didn't hear the last
How
one.
does that? How's
Neither
that
did I.
filtered exactly?
I wanted to hear it.
How's,
Are you done?
Explain that.
I'm trying
Tell me
to.
why he put.
Jesus.
Tell me why he put that in the scripture.
What?
I'm sorry,
Okay.
Atheist Junior.
Where
I'm
are
gonna
we
look
at?
There's
at
proof
part
right
of what you
there.
said.
It's
Where are
screwed.
we at?
But
I
What?
don't know where we're at right now. I'm so fucking lost.
Okay. Okay,
What about
so
something about sludge or sludge in the scripture and it proves God? Something like
Yeah,
that.
I
I don't
don't
know
know.
where we're at right now. I'm lost.
Is that in
I'm
the
still
is that in the Quran, the freak, or the
We're
Bible? What are
getting
you
back
talking about?
to Grandpa
Quran
Trump.
Duran.
I'm
Well,
still
I'm a
interested to
grower
hear
and
the
I'm a
last
shower,
part of what
okay?
Atheist Junior was trying to say when he got so rudely
Okay,
interrupted.
Atheist Junior, the last part of what
Okay.
of your syllogism.
Yeah, all I was saying is just that he's saying there's not an explanation for the origin of life that's other than it being divine. And I think that there is, and it's just changing from the process of geochemistry to biochemistry. That's all.
That sounds reasonable. DeFreak, what were you going to say about that?
This is why I like to stick to the seed, because it's
What?
something that science can't fully explain.
What's
And
seeds?
until it's fully explained by, however, biochemistry, molecular, however,
Biology?
then you have to accept the possibility that God is it. The spark
No,
of
we
life is
don't.
coming from
What if-
the
what if
divine.
the-
So every time you look at a plant, a tree, a piece of bacteria,
Oh
whatever,
boy.
you're seeing evidence for God. You're just denying him.
No, we're not.
Can you rule out the default that it was cats that created all of this?
By the same logic, right?
That who? That what?
Cats created it all.
Cats.
What if that was the default? Can you rule that
Maybe they're
out?
the
Some
spark.
people might believe
Maybe
that.
the spark came from them.
Maybe the movie Cats started the universe. It's all making
next.
sense.
I think anybody here would
How about
be
Syria,
at least
Damascus, Isaiah 17, history,
Sure.
and what we're
Sure.
looking at right now in that
Well,
specific prophecy.
Well, let's
Amy
talk
might
about.
be thinking Jesus Christ Superstar.
Let's talk history. Explain to me
Isaiah
how history-
17.
Yeah.
Who here is vaccinated?
We're not going to go into that, Jonathan. But thank you.
But I mean, I think anybody
No,
here
the
would
Exodus,
be
the Red
willing
Sea,
to.
the chariot
Just
wheels
testing.
that everyone dismisses, the pillar on the Saudi side that still is there, Mount Sinai, the place of the plain where the 12 tribes were congregated.
Oh my God.
Mount Sinai. I mean, we did.
So
denial. It's just denial at this point.
How is Mount
Rome burning.
Sinai? How is Mount Sinai denial? And how does it prove God?
Well, the glory of God rested upon Mount Sinai when he spoke to Israel.
How do you know that?
And they freaked
Mount
out and said,
Sinai?
we can't handle his glory. Moses,
How do you know that?
We can't handle it. No.
How do you know that?
So that's part of
You're
it. He
asserting
showed
it,
up. He
but
showed up
you're not
partly in his
demonstrating it.
glory
There's
on
a
top of the
big difference
mountain,
there.
But no one wants to accept that it's a real place on the Saudi side.
So again, Mount Sinai, you're stating, making a lot of claims, and I'm asking you to demonstrate any evidence that anything that you just said actually happened. You understand there's been several sites identified as possibly being Mount Sinai that have been systematically and thoroughly
Am I the only one that's not hearing
surveyed
Pat?
and researched. Can't hear me?
I think everybody else here is hearing Pat.
We all hear it.
Yeah,
we're hearing it.
So my question is, one last time, is do you have any evidence?
You're breaking
of
it
this?
kind of now.
No, he's not.
I really don't
Oh,
think so.
that's bullshit.
It's on
He's
your
not
end.
breaking any
Yeah, your
out.
internet
That is
sucks.
bullshit.
Well, I'll just
Can you
ask
see
this
your
question. I can tell you that the Sinai question comes up quite a bit in archaeology, and there's no evidence to show ritual activity associated with the Bronze Age at any site that is Proto-Hebrew at Sinai. I mean, this is the reality of it. I mean, if you can show evidence that there's something miraculous happened at Sinai in any of the periods of time that is alluded to in the Bible, I'd be willing to, at least consider the possibility that there was some interaction there. Sinai doesn't become used as a site till much later, and there's several Sinais that are possible. I'm not even saying that we have to even say one Sinai. Just show me several possibilities that undergo archaeological scrutiny to show that there is something contemporaneous with Proto-Hebrew activity in any site, because we can pretty much figure out who the Proto-Hebrews are. They're not in Egypt. They're not in the Levant prior to the late Bronze Age. And so, I mean, this is the problem. Lots of assertions, but no evidence. And I'm willing to entertain anything reasonably offered, but that's my argument. I mean, I don't care where you say Sinai is. Point to some place you say Sinai is, then we can go look at it and look at whether or not it bears scrutiny to being a possible avenue. And then we have to determine, don't just say, hey, we found ancient Bronze Age pots from the Middle Bronze Age place, and then say, oh, Hebrews, like when they're not Hebrew, right?
Any response to Freak? Did you want to say anything?
We might be having some audio problems.
If you do a YouTube search on just Mount Sinai, there's I don't know how many different ones.
Professor YouTube.
There's different
Professor YouTube.
Okay.
Hey, let him finish.
Those documentaries. I mean, and you'll see many different people, many different cases, and many different fields, of many different professions talking about religious folk or archaeologists or whoever. And you can see that it's a real place. It's a real mountain with the kind of the burnings on the top. And also you have the split rock where Moses hit the rock and the water came up out of the desert.
Oh my God.
You can see the plain.
Is that after
and the oasis where
Aaron hit the rock?
the water was distributed among the 12 tribes?
Yes. Yep. See, it's there. It's all there.
And,
all of it.
All right
that.
there.
Pat,
Pat,
just
you don't know what you're talking about, Pat.
I just wanted to say
it's
interesting. It's interesting that Pat's sitting here saying, "Hey, is there any legitimate empirical data you can give me to work with that indicates any legitimacy to what you're saying?" And then next thing you hear is, "Oh yeah, man, if you just take out some of these YouTube videos." I'm sorry, but come on, that's just.
He did say.
My dog ate my homework.
He did say some other information after that, though.
No, he didn't. He hadn't said anything. No.
What was the information that he said after that?
Did say, Jamie Russell, what is up? He said he is right in Saudi Arabia. Solar eclipse is rather interesting.
Oh, Jamie Russell in the house. Hey, Jamie.
As long as you're not getting stoned at the time.
There's also the pillar that marks the spot of the Exodus. That's still there. That's part of some of the documentation in the YouTube videos.
Wait, hold on. Wait. I'm sorry. Can you repeat what you just said? I didn't hear. I didn't hear what you said.
It's part of the story.
Excuse me, DeFreak. I didn't hear what you said. What did you say about the Exodus?
The pillar that's in the Isaiah 19:19 is actually still
what did you say about
on the Saudi side.
What did you say about the Exodus? What was it that you said about the Exodus?
The pillar that is written about in Isaiah 19:19 is still there.
Is that part of the Exodus?
It's there.
I feel like he has us all on mute and he's just talking.
The spot where Israel crossed the Red Sea.
Yeah. Okay.
So you're saying that the Exodus happened?
It's something that King Solomon established.
DeFreak, can you hear us?
You see what I mean?
Can you hear us? DeFreak, can you hear us?
Yeah,
I think
he's just going.
Yeah, DeFreak, are you even?
We have people asking.
He said he couldn't hear Pat.
DeFreak, this is Jesus. This is the second coming. Can you hear us? We're leaving. In
you
5,
missed the rapture.
4,
You have to take
3, 2.
With Ken
Oh,
Hovind.
you're gonna miss out on In and Out. We're all going.
Could I?
Well, we have Nebuchadnezzar. We have Persia. We have Babylon. We have all those things that are established in history.
Let him finish.
We have Josephus. We have.
Oh my God.
Antioch.
Yeah,
we have Ephesus.
Who are we
We have
citing?
Mesopotamia. We have.
Why are you citing
Macedonia?
We have Mesopotamia. We have.
What are you citing these for?
It's
What
just
do these
dismissal
mean?
and denial.
What are you talking
have
about? You haven't
That's what they do.
All right,
It's denial. They have cognitive. For atheists, they practice cognitive dissonance.
Can we vote this guy off the island?
Wait, okay.
I
I
don't
was
know.
going to
Let Amy get in.
I hear an echo. I don't know if it's
How
me
can I
or
present
something.
all of this? How can I present all of this and
presented anything.
and you won't consider it as a whole of a body.
You
have
presented anything.
One of those things.
Bilbo
that
dropped
religious
the one
people or whatever
ring
believers
on
argue,
the floor,
it just
and
it's
Frodo
not
picked
right.
it up.
Totally, just about
True story.
What were you trying to say, Amy?
That's not sound reasoning.
I was trying to actually hand it off to Jonathan because he said he wanted to say something, but then he made a claim. He said that us atheists have cognitive dissonance. But is it?
Yeah, I don't know what he means by that.
I didn't say
Well,
that.
just didn't.
No, Jafreak, you didn't say
I mean, all
it.
atheists.
Wow, hold on. I'm sorry, I have to interrupt you for 1 second.
AJ, don't you know, you bastard.
At the very
Okay, I'm out.
For the
Fuck
record,
this
it was
guy.
just,
Good night, Rex.
Bye.
It was just this.
Good night, Clockwork Rex.
Well, when I make a claim and then they don't really hear, like, I feel like honestly right now on this panel, atheists or not, like people are not really listening to each other and pondering it. They're just like, it's just like an automatic dismissal as opposed to actually listening.
You're right.
And then
I'm
contemplating
listening.
it and then giving a constructive feedback. That's what I feel. That's why I freaked out earlier, and then this is why you guys are kind of poo-pooing this guy as the star guy here too. So that's just my criticism.
Okay.
I'm not sure all atheists act like this. This is the gist I'm getting from this.
I don't think it's valid for everybody here. Like I noticed Pat's listening and he's trying to engage. I certainly was doing that at the beginning. So take that issue up with the people who actually are interrupting you is what I would suggest instead of
it'd be definitely this guy beside me here. I don't know his name.
Leo gets a little
doing
spicy,
most of it. Yeah.
This guy here.
Yeah.
Wait, you mean asking
Leo
you
gets
questions or pressing you as to why?
I know
you're
it's
not
always
actually
this
presenting
one
an
guy,
argument?
but I'm just in general.
Yeah, some people can't handle it. I get it.
Well, it's just that you didn't really hear what I was saying and
I did. You weren't really saying anything
really
at all.
Understand my area of expertise at all?
You don't have an
From
area
the
of
answers
expertise
that you give.
Hold on, time out, please,
and it just shows kind of a cognitive dissonance. It's like when someone has a contrary view from you.
Please, I'm begging you. Please.
We'll let you in.
And then this guy too. This guy a little bit too.
Stop. Let Bert ask.
What is your area of expertise?
I was speaking about law and like how we get our human rights from God.
Are you a lawyer?
I don't need to be a lawyer.
Okay, so
then you don't have an area of
expertise.
I agree. Actually,
no area.
Well,
that's not
it's just like, why do I need to be a member of the British Alliance regulation? Regular.
What?
I just excuse me just for a second. I want to point out it is possible for people to have expertise without having the academic credentials for it. Just wanted to point that out.
Assuming that being an expert in that area doesn't require academic credentials, because if it does, then no, you're not an expert without having those credentials.
It's possible, but it's not likely in this case.
He's a sovereign citizen.
Yeah.
How do we know that?
So that's that. I get my rights from God. I don't get pushed around by
no, you don't.
Despotic.
I just don't even.
But ultimately, that's something you're not willing to actually demonstrate, right? Because
what
you're saying that you're not pushed around by governments, right? But I'm sure you drive a car. Do you have a license to drive your car?
You don't need a license to drive a car. You only need a license to drive commercial.
Come on.
So
do you drive a car?
How it is in Canada.
That's sovereign citizen.
Do you drive a car?
You don't need
it's not what I asked
license.
you. You're not asking. I said,
exactly.
Do you have a car?
Need a registration from the government.
Not answering
questions.
That you're supposedly a public servant.
Answer his question.
Saying nothing.
Yeah, he's not going to answer the question.
Corporation of Canada.
Jonathan, answer his question.
I may have dealt with this before. Because this argument ultimately fails because this is the problem. They say you don't need, but when it comes down to it, they don't like being thrown in jail when they don't have a driver's license. Right?
It doesn't mean they're wrong.
Okay, so the social contract currently in place is that the society of men, which seems to be rebelling against God's authority because of divine mandate theory, right? So ultimately, it's these men who, when you drive and you don't need a license, throw you in jail. Then you go to a court and a judge sustains that, and then you appeal that, and you go to the various appellate courts all the way up to the Supreme Court, and your arrest is sustained. What is your, other than violence against the state, what is your
I'm not
ramification
saying
in
violence.
this?
I'm not advocating
I didn't-
violence against the state.
I'm not done. Other than violence against the state or death and some change of absolution in the hereafter, what do you actually? How can you actually show that there is some divine mandate outside that is given by men? I'm all about a secular mandate. And that's all we can demonstrate that we have.
Right. So, the courts are there. There's actually a website you can actually go to called
I don't care.
International.
Oh my God.
Where you can claim your status and you can claim your legal fiction. You can be you can claim your legal fiction, the trust. So when we were born, right, we each have birth certificates.
Please, can we stop this madness?
Well, this is. I'm just going to tell you, you guys. This is the sovereign citizen shit. This is really it.
To be fair,
the sovereign citizen bullshit.
I will tell you.
Responding to his argument is that.
Okay.
That's all I'm doing. That's all I'm doing.
Please do.
Okay. So basically, I won't get into the esoteric about the straw man and all that stuff and the Bible, but so basically, you have to. So if you have you have to kind of assert your status in court, because in court, what's presumed, right, is that you're the trustee of your legal fiction, in which in admiralty law you don't have any rights as a man. So what you have to do is you have to correct that status, you have to correct that presumption, or else you're just making claims and you're just shooting in the dark. They violated my constitutional claim. They violated my common law claim to travel on the common law laws or common law highways, whatever. But the thing is, before you do that, before you make that claim, you have to correct your status. So you have to say, I'm the authorized administrator executor of, Jonathan Vance. And then you have to appoint, the Crown prosecutor as a trustee or whatever. And then you have to make your case on why you're not the trustee.
And how often does that actually work? Because I have some statistics for it.
And I have some commentary here.
Just send him love, AJ. Good night. It was lovely.
Good night,
AJ
Jr.
I hope we can get AJ back in at some point.
I pay for my taxes, pay for the maintenance of the roads, the upkeep of them, the regulation of them to keep them safe. And so part of that there's a requirement that everybody who's using these roads is properly licensed. The license indicates that they are responsible and they're up to date with the rules and they know how to comply with these rules. And that they will comply with the law enforcement who enforces those rules on an as-needed basis. So when you come along here in Canada and you say that you don't need a license to drive here and that your First Amendment rights protect you and all this stuff, we laugh at you. You don't get anywhere. There are no First Amendments in Canada, by the way. And yet First Amendment
but then I gotta change.
We don't have First Amendment rights. We don't have freedom.
There's no First Amendment rights here in Canada.
What do you mean we don't have freedom of expression in Canada? I don't get.
I didn't say freedom of expression. I said you don't have First Amendment rights here in Canada.
So that's a false claim there.
No, there's no constitutional.
No, that was a frivolous claim. I want you to correct that right now. We do have freedom of expression in Canada.
He didn't say
that.
Yeah,
we do, but I didn't say that.
You said no. You said we don't have freedom of expression.
He did not say that.
I didn't say we don't have freedom of expression.
Or freedom
you
of
said
speech.
that.
No. I want you to correct it.
He correct the thing that he didn't say.
Well, we're gonna send love to all of our atheists.
For the love of God, switch the topic.
We are going to bring it back to a.
Obviously, you guys don't know what you're talking about.
Shut up.
Jonathan, just remember, when you're in custody, don't cross the yellow line because that's a rule. Right?
Yeah,
you don't
sovereign citizen.
So if they
please
throw me in
walk on
custody,
the
I'm
other
going to
side.
demand that they pay me for each day I'm in jail.
and you'll get
Oh
0.
yeah,
Yeah,
Build,
good
sovereign
I
luck with
don't
that.
take. I don't take orders.
Doesn't work in Canada.
I have to build them for each.
sovereign
tribe.
Guys, he
citizenism
keeps
is
baiting you right back
bullshit.
into
He's
it.
All
officially
right.
he's
Falling
officially
right
a
back into the
lunatic.
trap.
I say you kick him, Amy, because he's a
Bye.
Yeah.
Is that like when Australia?
I want to
by the way,
have a
is
few
that
more
like when the
points,
satellite crashed
and
into
then we
Australia and they
can
fined US?
This guy
No
says
more-
he doesn't have freedom of
Guys.
expression. Like this guy's a clown.
No more sovereign
Guys.
citizenism. Amy's going to change the subject.
We are
No.
going back to good evidence for God. I had
Right.
an argument
I
from
know.
Gavin. This is the second argument that he gave for the existence of God.
It's a
So we got
nail
two
biter. Everybody
premises.
listen.
I know. Two premises and a conclusion. Premise
go.
1. If God did not exist, intentional states of consciousness would not exist. Premise 2. Intentional states do exist. Conclusion, therefore, God exists. I'll read that one more time. Premise 1. If God did not exist, intentional states of consciousness would not exist. I disagree. Premise 2. Intentional states do exist. Conclusion, therefore, God exists. So clearly, I'm going to bring up premise 1, because if God denies this, intentional
what's the
states,
argument for that?
What is, I don't know why intentional states of consciousness would not exist without a God.
We
I
don't even know what that
understand.
means, so it doesn't.
Yes, it's also very vague language.
It's also, I think Leo would agree, it's a non-definable. So what happens if you reversed it to the exact opposite? It would still be quote unquote true within that framework, because you could say intentional states exist because there is no God. Right. You could make that claim, and it would be just as in that same framework. It's an invalid claim, but you could make the same opposite claim. And part of the reason it's invalid is because the equal and opposite would hold true as well. So
Because we don't know which one is true.
Correct.
We have to feed in true premises.
Right.
Yeah, it's an argument from intentionality. You hear those a lot.
Right. And you know, I mean, from a deist point of view, you see why they would frame it that way, right? Because deism requires there to be a prime cause, prime mover, prime entity, right? And it's not, you know, I mean, I don't really have a problem with the worldview as long as that worldview doesn't interfere with the rest of what happens in our society and influence things negatively, or at least my perception of negatively is societal norm. But that's the ultimate problem, right? Is that going back to divine mandate theory? We were going to talk about social contracts earlier. Social contracts being, you know, something we societally agree upon. But when someone claims divine mandate theory or divine command theory, it's the same thing within a social framework, then they no longer have to apply a societal normative standard, because they say, I don't have to agree with the collective. I can disagree with the collective in some instances. Now, the problem is when the divine mandate theory and the social norms are the norm, then those are societies that have existed and have, you know, consequences for all kinds of consequences about theocracy.
That's what I was going to say. Exactly.
Amen.
I just want to know where the freak went. I'm surprised he hasn't commented on this argument yet.
The freak is in
he's inside chat.
Still here.
Text chat. Yeah.
Oh.
I think I see the
Well,
freak's icon here.
Yeah, his icon is still here. I mean,
No, I think the freak's in the comments. He's in the comments.
Yeah, but he's also in here. His icon is also.
Sometimes, if I can steelman him, is that he feels that we don't always treat, you know, theists fairly. I like to think we try to treat theists as fairly as we can, but there is more skeptic non-believers against the other side. But hey,
I'll disagree with that
curious.
for this reason. If they have something fair to say and they're willing to engage, we treat them very nicely. If they start spouting nonsense, we don't have time for that shit. Or at least I don't. I know Leo doesn't.
It's like
I often do.
Yeah, it's like the assertion of wagon wheels in the Dead Sea. Well, are there things in the Dead Sea? Yes. Are they late Bronze Age Egyptian chariot wheels? No.
Right.
So, you know, you find an 18th century wagon wheel, which had wooden struts. That doesn't prove anything.
Yeah.
I mean, it really, and I'm not, again, I'm not trying to be that guy, but you
I'll
know,
be that guy.
This fails. This,
Right.
and if
I don't
we
know
find
know
evidence,
that actually, if it's actually been, I don't think there's been any real official. I don't know. You know, what is it? A real campaign, or what is it called when there's an official expedition of that
excavation,
because of the Egyptian government at this point?
the Egyptian
So,
government from the 1850s forward, the Red Sea was a subject to all kinds of excavations, archaeological and others in the region, and many claims. Trust me, there were people that went out specifically to prove the claims that you're asserting. That even though they were positives, they were archaeologists who went out to prove the Exodus occurred and that the parting of the Red Sea occurred. They were never able to demonstrate it, and even the evidence that later came up with some really bad assertions that weren't scientifically or archaeologically based have been disproven by archaeologists who may have had a motivation to actually prove it, but were ultimately refuted when their work was reviewed. You know, just because you're scuba diving and you see something looks like a wagon wheel, and then you say the parting of the Red Sea happened. This is Pharaoh's army destroyed under the water, and then someone takes the time to go down and take a snapshot of that wagon wheel and go 18th century wagon wheel. Nothing to see here. I mean, that's how simple it actually is. It's not and there weren't fields of them either, right? There was one, and it ended up not being the one that people said it was.
There's a question from the chat. I'm not sure if it's for Jonathan or to Freak, but I'm curious for both of you. The question is about what your icons, your avatars are, what they represent.
Mine is the Father God.
Okay.
You know, I'm the only one who comes on here that I know of so far who claims to have seen him, and this is the best I can come up with what he actually looks like when he's
your icon looks like your avatar reminds me of Carl Sagan's Cosmos series, where his spaceship looked a lot like that. That's actually kind of cool.
Looks like a butthole to me, but that's just me.
Oh,
thank you.
Can I address the mandate question here?
No, nobody wants to talk about that. I did want to say really quickly that mainstream scholarship, the academic consensus is that the Exodus did not occur, at least not in any way remotely relating to any of the stories that we have about it from the Bible or from the Torah.
Yep.
Thank you, Defreak. Jonathan, I'm curious about your icon too.
How do they prove that?
My icon?
Evidence.
Yeah, your avatar. Yeah.
Well, in some cases,
I'm only gonna explain to it if I get to explain what a mandate is by Black Soul.
Oh Jesus! Please, let's not go down this fucking road again.
No,
I'm scared, honestly, about both of those routes.
And by the way, Amy, I didn't get paid for last time. I still want to get paid.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Fuck off.
All right, hold on. Gavin, time for you to leave. Jonathan's coming down there. No.
Well, Jonathan, I hate to tell you, but we didn't tell you, but we have a $100,000 fee for anybody who says Nazi slogans on our channel. So we're gonna go ahead and need you to pay that up.
When did I say that?
Well,
we
what did I miss?
A while ago.
Just bring up.
Okay. There's going to be a fee each time you interrupt me. Of
Okay.
There you go. So see how silly it is to make up random fees for random stuff. It's silly, isn't it?
But we are sending love.
I won't get into that.
Well, let me just let's just call it out the way it is. Is that an Ulthor rune on your flag?
A what?
Your icon. It's a neo-Nazi symbol.
It's a double cross sun. It's like a rising sun.
Mm-hmm. Are you familiar that it's a commonly used motif within neo-Nazi iconography?
It's like, it's not necessary. I mean, yeah, the Nazis used it, but it just seems like our current culture wants to denograte everything from Europe. Right. So I'm an ethno-nationalist, and I'm proud of it.
it! Oh, shit. Well, the minute he said Europe, I was like, we're gonna hear the fucking Western culture argument, 100%.
It's the guy that James exposed.
I mean, I've kept my
nationalist.
I've kept my shit. This is the second or third time I've seen that symbol. I figure we
I'm
engage.
an
But
ethno-nationalist,
right.
and that's one of the signs we use. It's a really good sign. I like it.
Wait, so Jonathan, can I ask you?
Like,
hold on. I want to ask him a very
it's not a
important question.
swastika or anything. It's just like
that doesn't need
a
to
new dawn.
be.
It's to promote peace. It's to
Right.
promote.
But what do you mean by peace?
As opposed to our current
What do you mean by peace?
It's peace.
What do you mean by peace? What is peace to someone like you? Also, I did have a very important question to ask you. Which evil cabal is in control of the world, and why is it the Jews?
Now,
well, I will say
now
you've
could
baited
get
him,
in
Leo.
legal
Come
trouble if I do that.
Well, can I interrupt you? I believe I don't remember.
He
if
asked
it
a
was
question. He
Jonathan.
brought it on himself. I just
no,
said
I
as
know.
and then he
Well,
brought it on the Jews. I
as
didn't
soon
mean to
as
go
the
down it.
icon, if I could, as soon as Randolph asked about
He
your
brought it
icon,
up.
I
He
knew
brought
where
it
we
up.
were going.
He brought it up.
But you, I will say, I don't know if it was Jonathan or who, but someone was saying that Ashkenazis were like 25% lizard.
Yeah.
Which is my caveat.
that was him, Amy. This is him.
I
This
mean,
is the same guy.
I do have to say that
Why did they call it the lizard brain?
Oh my god!
Amy is part lizard. Yes.
But wait, all right. See, when you make
You're a
statements
lizard,
like
fight or
that,
flight.
though, that is
Keeps you
totally
controlled.
trolling.
You don't use your cerebellum. You know, like.
But it's
Like,
called
what do you
the
think of, like,
lizard
humans?
Cerebellum?
Like, you think about like the past civilizations, like underneath the oceans over by Japan and like
What are you talking
Sea of
about?
Atlantis.
But
Like
do
we
you
don't
know
use
why?
Oh my
because
Can I
humans
just
have a
freeze that? I
tendency-
don't want to interrupt you, but there is a reason they call it the lizard brain, because those sort of emotional reflexes are still within reptiles, and like that they still share the usage. That is why, not because I assume because of Illuminati controlled lizards.
Well,
You know what a colloquial term is?
The reptilian brain evolved. The mammalian brain evolved on top of the reptilian brain.
And
I
want to.
mean, if you only live for this life, you're very controllable. That's what I'm going to say.
No, you are. You're controlled by your God.
I'm going to say it again. You're very controllable by men.
You
Government
are.
is your daddy. And
What are you talking about?
Okay. Actually, I was going to bring this up.
Oh my god, you just said K three times in a row, guys.
KK, really? You racist
I
bastard.
wonder. I wonder.
Yes.
Why? I wonder why this panel, especially those two beside me there.
Yeah. Hi.
I wonder if they despise the moral responsibilities that are endowed with religion, as opposed to
I don't know what
trying
that
to
means.
refute its claims of that God exists.
I don't know
I'm
what that
wondering
means.
if they're
You haven't
actually
even
triggered
proven
because
God
they feel
exists.
like they've fallen short of God's glory,
Yep. You're right.
and they're resentful. And
You are.
and what I
You're
have
right.
to say, and now I don't say that to be facetious or vexatious.
Yes,
I
you
don't
do.
want to come
But that's
across
okay.
Of
that
course
way.
not.
Go ahead.
Of course not.
I'm trying to be as fair as possible here. Okay, like I'm really trying to be fair. I'm trying to negotiate with you, because it's not
Right, negotiate with me.
to
What's
be
up?
like God to have scorn for your enemy. You're supposed to forgive.
That's not true at all.
You're supposed to have love and listen, and but I mean, it doesn't seem like really like these two here are really. I feel like, and maybe I don't know you,
Pat
but
and
it just-
James
you just
and
come
Randolph.
across as like there's some sort of inadequacy you haven't dealt with.
Yeah, it's from
That
you because
morally-
you haven't proven your God. You are correct.
I'm just curious how you get
So you
from
go back to like
you get
refute, like,
love,
I'm just
friendship,
I'm just
courteous,
talking about
loving thy
morally,
neighbor to ethno
like
nationalism.
morally,
That's where
like
I want to
morally.
go.
Morally,
You know what I mean?
what? No, I
Like
don't know. what
morally,
you mean.
like you didn't like morally like live up. You feel like you maybe you could be better, or you could You could be more upright standing citizen, but you fell short, and then you.
But you're a
kind of
neo-Nazi,
When you
right?
were that
You know what I
child.
mean?
But you're a
I'm
neo-Nazi.
just saying it because I love you.
What would make you think
But
I
you're
would
a
take
neo-Nazi.
ethical advice from an ethno-nationalist?
From a what?
Like I said, what makes you think I would take ethical advice from somebody who thinks that black people shouldn't be living in his country?
I didn't say that. What did I?
Yeah, what do you
now you're
think
just putting words in my
ethno-nationalism
mouth
is?
and you're
You're
being
going to
defamatory,
openly
sir.
admit to being an
You're being
ethno-nationalist,
defamatory,
but then
sir.
deny that you don't want a
You're being
purist society,
defamatory,
an
sir.
ethnically pure
You're-
society?
no,
What do you think the
you are
ethno
putting
in
words in my mouth, and
ethno-nationalism
you are not.
stand
I
for,
knew
my
it from
dude?
the first time that I talked to you that you are not an honest person. You're not an honest person.
That's right. I'm so dishonest.
Good to know. Thank you.
I'm so dishonest. Says the guy who calls himself
You are
an
dishonest because you
ethno-nationalist
put
and then
words in my
denies
mouth
the
to defend
ethnic
me. I don't appreciate
relations of that word.
But I still love you because I have
You
to.
don't. How do you love me? You don't even know me.
Okay. Since I'm such a hateful person, who's the only one?
I
that
didn't say
starts to
hey.
mention
When
the
did
word
I say
love
hey?
in this
When did I say
podcast
hey?
so far?
When did I say
Yeah,
hey?
I'm the only one.
When did
I
I
haven't
say
heard from
hey?
any of you.
When did I say
haven't
hey?
heard from any of you.
Wait,
But
when did
you
I
know
say
what?
hey?
I forgive you.
Jonathan, when did I say
for
hey?
that.
Jonathan,
I forgive you. I forgive you
Jonathan.
for your ignorance. I forgive
Jonathan.
you for your crassness.
Thank
I
you.
forgive you for your defamatory comments.
Thank you.
I
Oh my
forgive you.
gosh.
Thank you.
Jonathan,
I forgive you for
when,
your lies.
when did I say
Thank
hey?
you.
You are defamatory.
I just
When-
want to
when did
say.
I
words
say
in
hey?
my mouth.
I just want to say.
You assume you knew my views. You put words in
You
my
told
mouth.
me your
And
views.
so
You
I
told me
just
you were
want
an
to have a
ethno-nationalist. What are
little
you
bit of. I
talking
just want to have a
about?
little bit of question.
Because
time.
what? Okay, hang on. Why is it so bad for Europeans to advocate for themselves?
Oh my God! What do you mean
not
by Europeans?
Not any.
So-
Everyone else can, like Black Lives, First Nations.
Yeah, because they're
you know,
oppressed
Okay,
cultures.
this
You're
is
telling me
about
that white
religion.
Europeans are a historically oppressed culture?
It comes across as hypocritical, right?
This is
Look,
fucking
yeah, white.
ridiculous,
This isn't a
Amy.
political
You're a hypocrite.
discussion. I'm sorry, Amy. I'm not.
Yeah,
You're a
this isn't
hypocrite.
politics.
Yeah, because
But-
you're a
we should
hypocrite, that's
probably
why.
cut
And
this
as
off.
someone who
We're
wants
losing
to
people.
end,
This guy's a hypocrite. And you're
as
defamatory.
someone who wants
But I
to
still
end,
love you.
Yeah, you're right.
What
I don't like
defamatory
fucking
means,
ethno-nationalism.
idiot.
but
have
okay,
to
guys,
guys,
you're
I
just
just want to
trashing
ask a few questions.
As much
because-
as you don't bother me, you know.
but
But
I,
it doesn't
Leo,
mean
you're
I'm
not being
perfect.
fair.
Like I still have hateful thoughts, but I mean I'm working on it.
I don't believe in race or religion. I think both of those concepts are outdated and in antiquity, and they only draw generally sorrow for people. I don't understand
I'm with you.
why would we want to keep these concepts, either one of them.
And remember, guys,
Everyone
Nazi
else-
Jesus says only white kids get Christmas on, or only white kids get presents on Christmas.
And Kyle Rittenhouse is a white supremacist too.
Right.
Didn't Kyle
Right.
Rittenhouse say supports Black Lives Matter?
Yeah, he did.
He said something along the lines he supports their right to protest, but not.
But and see, I don't want to get political. I think politics.
I
We're
don't
not
either.
a political
Yeah.
channel at all.
Politics is dumb but very important.
Well, yeah, no. There's a
True.
correct time and place, and we should put time and energy.
And it's not
into
now.
politics. It's just this is the other prong. I feel that religion is an important prong in people's lives. I feel that when this gets knocked down, a whole bunch of other views, a lot of the anti-science views, just get knocked down when you knock religion down. And so,
what does he
so,
put forth?
And on
for
that
evidence
note,
in
Amy,
terms of
anything
God?
more about Gavin's arguments?
well, I mean, there was just a whole bunch. I'll say this stuff, we'll comment on it, and then maybe we'll go into outros. And like I said, I always appreciate everyone going back and forth. And so he
Amy.
had love,
What?
body and mind. What was that, Tom?
Amy, were there some points you wanted to cover
You're
on
posting
the
there
debate
on the
with
top
Gavin?
right corner there.
That is Randolph.
Racism
Randolph
is no form of protest against racism that is acceptable to racists.
Yep.
What do you mean? Are you insinuating that only white people can be racist with that?
Oh boy.
What?
Here we go.
How
Yep.
do you even?
Yep. I can
All
read
right.
that. I
And
can
you
read
want to talk about
the
cognitive
context of that.
dissonance?
I could definitely read
on.
the context of that.
You can address that with him somewhere else, but we're not going to
because-
go down that
because,
rabbit
like,
hole.
Okay,
only
hold on.
deal that be a king
I'm
or
laughing
whatever
with
the
you.
leftist
I'm
Say
laughing.
Twitter
say
over
I
there.
if we should kick this
Like,
guy.
oh,
I.
Canada, we're multicultural and we're so accepting. Like, yeah,
Amy,
you
I'm
know what?
curious.
I'm wondering if he's
You know
put
what?
anything forth
Honestly,
that
you know
shows
what?
evidence of
You want
God
to
at
see
all.
something? You want to see
Everybody,
something?
please
I
stop.
I
first.
want
Please stop.
You know,
Please stop. I think this is
I
Amy's
actually
show,
saw a
and I
swastika
think,
the other
Please,
day.
Jonathan,
just
shut
put
up.
this guy
Amy,
backstage. Just
Amy, I think
I-
there's probably a few things you want to cover about the debate before we end. Maybe we should focus on that.
Hey,
it is
yes.
and I
beta males over there.
All
it
right.
I
is
still love you.
this
you
will
don't
be
even
the
know
I-
it.
last.
Saying you love me. You freak.
There
Thank you. Oh,
What
dear
did you put
Jesus.
him?
I don't love
Yes.
him.
I think we're ending. I don't know what to say because we kind of teeter the line, and what is we consider ourselves a politically incorrect channel,
So
but now we're getting.
yeah.
Did he say anything
I don't
that
know.
presented any evidence for God, the God of
No.
Abraham at all?
Amy,
No, and neither did you.
And I
Amy, how about 3
Well, I
points?
did,
Can you give us 3 points from the debate with Gavin that are highlights for you?
So we went over those two arguments. I will say another one was space-time is the omnis and it's transcendent. I don't know how he could prove that space-time was transcendent and that they had all of the three omni traits. He talked a lot about
Which three omnitraits?
Schrodinger's
Omniscience,
cat.
omnipotence,
Yes, omniscience and
Omnipotent.
all knowing, all powerful.
What was the other third? What was the third one?
All knowing, all
omnibenevolence.
seeing. Yeah.
You're talking about this guy that was just in here who said those things.
No.
Yeah, we're not
no.
going to go down that path. Come on, Defree. Just make the arguments if you want to make them. But
No. He was just asking if that guy said that.
Is
We're
this the
talking
same
about
guy
Gavin.
that you exposed about 2
Oh.
weeks ago, James?
yeah, it's the
It
same
just
guy.
now we're having a wonderful Claire problem where it keeps on coming up. I don't know
Yeah.
how to not bring the subject up. This is what happens
Well,
every.
the thing is, he's using the iconography, and he's
Anyway,
coming on to push in that direction.
So I don't know if he has any real thoughts of God at all, or
No, and
where is
neither
he
do
coming
you.
from?
Fine.
Because
Do you?
this could be a subversive attempt to undermine Christianity.
DeFreak, do you
And
have
I have
any
a
good
problem with
evidence?
Well, he's a Muslim. If that has any help.
DeFreak, do you have
Oh.
any good evidence for God?
Oh, that guy was
Yes? No?
No.
I believe that I got,
Sorry, what?
I have very torn thoughts because I believe, once again, I think I say this a million times, I come from a board where these people were the QAnon people before that even existed, where it was, the people who would tell me that I was as much as I call myself a NASA shill, they call me a JDIF shill for Israel because I believe that the Holocaust was real. Those little things. And so there's a piece of me that believes that I can truly get through and actually have a civil conversation. But it's very hard because I do know at the back of my head that there are people that if the signs were a little bit different, they may not give me. But we're sending love to everybody, including my Jewish ancestors. Though some of them got us into this trouble, let me tell you, because they created the religion that then all these other religions get us into. But
Amy, can I say something real quick? This is so hilarious.
Yeah.
So in the side chat, Materialist Dan asks Bubble, what in our genetics indicates race? His answer was the part that codes for your race.
I think we broke Bird. That broke Bird.
We got to give him credit. It is a straight answer.
Yeah, at least
part that
Bubbles
codes for
tries
your
to
race.
answer questions instead
Great
of just
answer.
like calling you
That's-
dumb.
Wow, that's a great one. Whew,
It's
coming
not
from
correct,
Bubble,
but it's a straight answer.
I guess so.
Let's
It's gotta
see,
be
I
nice.
haven't heard the sovereign citizen thing since the Hebrew Israelites were trying
Yeah,
to,
nobody
to use
cares.
that.
Do you have any good evidence for that?
Amy, I'm
Weird.
sorry. Go ahead.
No, we're talking non-contingent mind. That was a big one.
Oh, Lord.
Consciousness confirms everything. Not sure how. World
What?
exists without us. I don't believe so. I think we have existed for billions of years. I believe the universe has existed for billions of years longer. And so that can't be true.
All that is well substantiated.
Yep.
In his thing, it almost like it was two premises and a conclusion, but it's not. He just said it. So consciousness confirms everything. The world exists without us, and then he said he is not separated from us. I don't know what that means either.
I think it's true that the world exists without us. If we stopped existing, the universe would continue to do exactly what it does.
Probably.
I am not an idealist. Idealism is
the world would
kinda
probably
silly.
be better for us.
Oh,
He
better
also
is a
mentioned
subjective
Josephus.
term, but
And Josephus, I believe, people were bringing up as a fraud or not.
no, he wasn't a fraud. It's just that there's a lot of. Pat could probably answer better than that.
So
Yep.
one of the problems with Josephus's accounts are
Yep.
that it happens in more than just Josephus, but medieval Christian scribes and even earlier than the medieval period, late antique into the medieval, it was very common to theologically correct historical texts or add theological nuance to histories. And for example, the Testimonium Flavianum is a attestation found in Josephus's text regarding Jesus being a divine person and working miracles and being executed. Most historians that study ancient manuscripts now discount most of it. I will say though that that's where the debate is, how much of it is rejected, not that it's entirely rejected, although there is some scholarship that asserts that the entire thing is a complete fabrication rather than being a partial insertion. So it is an interpolation, but how much of it is interpolated? How much additional stuff was added to it? And was it talking just about some random guy named Jesus? And then everything after that was fill in the blank, so to speak, to give historical tangibility to Christ. As you know, again, that's one of the things. Typically, what we see in a lot of manuscripts is, and it happens a lot in the New Testament. I just don't want to. I don't want to just throw it on the bus. But even like in Paul's original letters, we see early manuscripts where it says Jesus, and then later manuscripts it's Jesus Christ, because the scribe knows, oh, they're talking about Jesus Christ, so he fills in Christ because he wants to give the proper title to the Lord, so to speak. But that's not how Paul wrote it. Paul wrote Jesus, right? And sometimes Christ, but it's a conflation in titles. It's very common in the New Testament, and it may have been, it's the motivation may not have been completely dubious, but the ultimate ending of it was a manuscript corruption, which now historians look at and try to recreate to get to the closest textual variants possible to the getting text and close to, yeah.
What's an attestation?
Attesting to something?
Yeah, so
Oh, okay,
like in a biblical context, it would be someone saying like, I heard this or I saw this.
Gotcha.
Right?
Just like an account of something.
Right.
Okay. All right.
And then,
all right, I think we're going to ask a question for Pat, and then we're going to start to move into outros, ladies and gentlemen. But which church father added the Testimonium Flavium?
Well, so there's a couple different theories, but I think Eusebius is one of the leading, off the top of my head. I think Eusebius is one of the prime candidates for having done it. I know some people think it may have been Irenaeus, but to be honest, I don't think we'll ever know. The evidence for it being Eusebius is Eusebius. It sounds like Eusebius. It's similar to his style and form of other stuff that he wrote, but without going again. I just look at the scholarship, but without going and drilling in. I don't care how it got in there. It's not my area of specialties or specialties focus, but without going back into the literature, those are the two candidates that come up in my mind, but there may be a third, and maybe some argumentation. So don't take that to the bank. But I think that Eusebius is the prime candidate for the insertion, the interpolation.
And all right, with that, I can leave you guys with all your final comments in the outros. But we are moving in and having fun after we have Skeptic and Ranting on good evidence for God. Woohoo! The freak, I know it was a lot of atheists with just a few theists tonight, but we always thank you for being on, and I hope you had a good time on this Skeptic and Ranting, good evidence for God. And what are your final thoughts?
Thanks, DeFree.
Well, I think it's kind
Thank
of
you, DeFree.
no problem. I really enjoy the group here, by the way, all the time. So the historical, everything that is biblical, it seems like that in particular nowadays is really everything is geared to undermine it, and there's a reason for that. And I think it's kind of peculiar that it's only our history, only the biblical history, only the Christian American type history that's being changed. I mean,
What?
I'm not in other cultures or anything, but I'm gonna guess, wildly speculate that they're not having the same issue that we are, and there's a particular reason why that's happening. And so I think a lot of this
Donald Trump?
questioning of every single piece of data, Josephus, the Bible, the Hebrews, the Israel, the Egypt, the Exodus, it's getting a little absurd, and people should just consider that.
Yep, we agree. It is absurd.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks,
Thank
DeFree.
you so very much,
Thanks,
DeFreak, and always being an awesome interlocutor when coming on for the back and forth.
Oh, and DeFreak, I
Thanks,
was
guys.
serious when I said I do like your avatar. It does remind me of the Carl Sagan series.
Woo-hoo. There you have it. And all right, we're sending love to DeFreak and heading right down. Pat, we have been Skeptic and Ranting as we have been talking good evidence for God. I hope you had a good time. Where can people find you, and what are your final thoughts?
Well, thanks for having me. Again, evidence of religion, absolutely out there. Evidence of belief, absolutely out there. Evidence for God, I'm remain unconvinced. I want to, again, thank everybody who participated tonight. I wanted to give Jonathan the benefit of the doubt because he's come on before. But frankly, I probably wasn't my place to just call him out. But again, neo-Nazis doing neo-Nazi things eventually need to be called out. I was getting tired of his rhetoric and his bullshit.
His avatar was kind of inviting, to be fair.
To be fair, I mean, I knew what the symbol meant every time he's used it, but I've kept my mouth shut till now. I do want to just point out one thing coming up for me on Sunday. I'm pretty still new to YouTube, but Biddy Buddha's asked me to join her on her channel. If you know Biddy, she's kind of an outspoken critic of some things out of the Bible. So she's asked me to come on a show she's starting
Just a little bit.
called That's That, and it's talking history, archaeology, and theology. And that'll air Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard, 8 on the East Coast. And
On her channel?
Yeah, it's on her channel on YouTube. I posted the comment. The other thing that I'm doing is I posted I teach at a college, so the classes that I teach there are on campus, but I do occasionally offer online coursework, and I'll be offering a class coming up. It's called it's an introduction, but it's the archaeology of ritual and religion in the ancient Mediterranean, and we're going to take 8 weeks, a couple hours a week to kind of talk about what do we expect, how do we examine everything from ancient graves to determine the ritual function of not only the objects in there, but how people are positioned and what that means and what that tells us. We're going to start, like I said, during the Bronze Age, move forward to the Middle Iron Age. So basically 3300 BCE to about 500 BCE. And that's a class I'll be teaching completely online. And I put that comment, and it'll start in March. So if you're interested in that, that'll be going up. I'm going to limit the capacity to 30 people because after that it gets kind of hectic. But if you want to join us, feel free.
Looks awesome, Pat. I'm ready for it.
Thank you,
Thank
Pat.
you so very much,
And
Pat.
thank you,
And go
Randolph.
check that out along with Biddy Buddha's site, the awesome Biddy Buddha of Tangang, along with the new show that Pat and Biddy are going to be putting on. And
I think those two are gonna be great co-hosts. I'm really looking forward to it.
couldn't agree more. And
That'll
all
be a
right,
good show.
we're going right down the line. I think Leo might have dropped out, so we're sending Leo hugs. If he wants to come back on in time, he will get his outro. But we are heading right down.
I could do Leo's outro for him.
Yeah, let's let Pat do it. You better do the intro transition thing, and then Pat can proceed.
Right.
All right, there we go. Was that da da da?
Again, no evidence. You don't know what you're talking about. Again, theists come on. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't understand philosophy. They don't understand logic. And I just get tired of it. And I can't believe it.
Do they understand history though?
They don't understand history.
No.
Thank you so very much, Leo Filius. And all right, we're going right down the line. Vegetarian Bird. Hope you had a good time tonight on this Skeptic Ranting. Good evidence for God. And what are your final thoughts?
My final thoughts. Let's see here. It's none of your damn business. This was very fun. I'm still not convinced. And I do have one question for the freak. Why are you quoting from the Surah, which is a Quran? Is from the Quran? I thought you were
a Christian. Muslim. No, he's a hybrid.
What?
Well, he says he's a born-again Muslim, which means that he's trying to hybridize Christianity and Islam. I assume.
He harmonizes them.
Did not know that. I do apologize. And I retract my statement because I thought you're Christian. I'm sorry for that. But anyway, this was a lot of fun. Great to see everybody. And good night.
Woohoo! Thank you,
Thank you,
Vegetarian Bird. And all right, we're moving right along. Randolph Richardson, we have been Skeptic and Ranting, looking for good evidence of God. I hope you had a good time. Where can people find you? And of course, what are your final thoughts?
I had a good time. This was a very lively conversation, especially when Titan, one of the moderators in the chat, had posed the question about the avatars of our guests. It was that seemed to really change it to a deep and dark place with the neo-Nazi stuff. That was, I really didn't know that that's what that symbol was for. So it was quite educational in that respect. Quite disappointing too, but that's not a reflection of your channel. That's a reflection of that particular guest only. And I maintain that very strongly because your show is high quality. So is where people can find me. There's the YouTube channel that I have that I not posted any updates on lately, but hope to get something on there later this month for some debates I've been in and more in January again. That's at youtube.com/Randolph Richardson. And that's Randolph spelled R-A-N-D-O-L-F, no matter what spell check tells you or autocorrect tells you. And my Twitter account is at twitter.com/Randolph828. Same spelling. I also run an organization called Canadian Atheists, and you can find out more about it at www.canadianatheists.ca. In the future, as we're building the studio, we're looking forward to literally building it. We're looking forward to starting an atheism call-in program here in Canada called True North Talk.
Nice.
And the website for that is at www.truenorthtalk.ca. As far as the arguments go, I was really interested in hearing a little bit more what Jonathan wanted to say before all the neo-Nazi garbage came up. And it was and it just, like he started accusing me of saying that we don't have freedom of expression here in Canada. And the point I was making was that some sovereign citizens and First Amendment auditors come to Canada from the US and they tell the police that they are auditing, they have First Amendment rights here. And then they're told by the police there's no First Amendment
apply here.
Yeah, we have similar rights, but we don't have them in the form of amendments. So yeah, so
codified in other statutes and laws. And
so our Constitution is set up differently than the one in the US. The US, they have all this series of amendments. In Canada, we just make changes to it and we add entire sections into it. We don't call them amendments. We don't have the same kind of mechanics set up in our system. We do have right to freedom of expression and other things like that. He kept trying to emphasize that we're being ruled by the Queen. She reigns by convention at best, but she doesn't actually make any rulings anymore.
Right.
It used to be that she appointed a governor general to take care of granting royal assent, so she didn't have to do all this whenever we change laws. But we now do that ourselves. We appoint who the governor general is, and it's more just out of convention and respect that we keep
ceremony.
That stuff going. But we are sovereign. We're not beholden to the Queen or any of that kind of stuff anymore. So we are quite separate, and that was ratified quite a few years ago here. So it is again, it's a bit of a different system here, and we don't have any amendments in our Constitution. So it's just because things are put in differently. But yeah, thank you, Amy. I was hoping to hear a bit more about your debate with Gavin, and hopefully we'll cover more of that in the next show. And thank you everybody for being here, and thank you for everybody tuning in into the audience.
Thank you so very much, Randolph Richardson, the godfather of atheism. I'll tell you what.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
And all right, which means I'm handing the keys over to the pilot
designated
himself.
driver.
That's right. James, we have been skeptic and ranting on good evidence for God. I hope you had as fun a time as I did tonight. And what are your final thoughts?
Well, we got a little bit of spice there for a while. We haven't had that in a little bit, so that's kind of good to get that back in the mix. But we do want to limit it to reasonable discussion on topic, discussions on evidence for God. And once again, we didn't hear any of that. We didn't get any good evidence for God. It's starting to seem like they don't have any good evidence to present, because if they did, I think we would have heard it by now. Thank you to Freak, yes. And thanks, Amy. It was a great debate with Gavin. We would have got a little bit more into it, but I'm sure we'll have to do that on many a broadcast coming forward.
Woo-hoo! Exactly. Thank you so very much, James. And we have a bunch of fun head into the future. So with that, I want to thank all of you, jazz hands, for joining us on this fun episode of Skeptic and Ranting, Good Evidence for God, where we asked tonight the question of what would good evidence for God's existence be? Dun, dun, dun. I want to thank my co-host James W. along with our guests Randolph, Bird, Leophilius, Jonathan, Pat, Atheist Jr., Clockwork Rex, and the Freak. Woo-hoo! Along with the people in chat, our awesome mods who make this stream so great, and lovely viewers like you who make this channel even possible. If you enjoyed the show, please don't forget to like, follow, or subscribe, and then hit that bell icon to all so you can join our live streams. After the show, we will be heading over to the Skeptic and Ranting Discord server, the link of which is in the description below. So come join us for some more fun, or hey, leave a comment once the video's done. Lastly, if you'd like to help us make even more content, we offer some perks for our supporters by checking out our Patreons at patreon.com/Amy Newman. I am Amy Newman, but
Thanks, guys.
we will see you all on the next episode of Skeptic Ball Z. Good night, everyone. Mwah.
Praise God.